It is 10:01. Good morning from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs 104.5 The Zone studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. It is officially official. Our own Ramon Foster will step into the Titans radio booth this season as the analyst alongside Taylor Zarzer. A rotation of former Titans will step into the sideline role in a confirmed rotation of Brad Hopkins, Mark Mariani, Ben Jones, and Kevin Dyson. Meanwhile, the Titans made a front office hire on Wednesday, announcing Dave Gardy as Executive Vice President of Football Operations. Gardy spent the last 2 years in the Washington Commanders front office. Prior to that, he spent over 2 decades in the league office for the NFL. Both Tennessee and Vanderbilt's SEC tournament runs came to an end on Wednesday as Tennessee fell to Arkansas 8-4. Vanderbilt lost to Florida 8-3. Stanley Cup playoff action yesterday. The Golden Knights took a 1-0 series lead in the Western Conference Finals with a 4-2 win over Colorado, and the Eastern Conference Finals get underway tonight. The Hurricanes host the Canadiens in Game 1. Carolina has yet to lose a game in the postseason. NBA playoffs, the Thunder bounced back for a Game 2 win over the Spurs with a 122-113 final, evening the series at 1 apiece. NBA MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with 30 points and 9 assists. Tonight in the NBA, it's Game 2 in the East. The Knicks lead the Cavs 1-0. Tip-off is at 7 p.m. at Madison Square Garden. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. Good morning. Welcome into 104.5 The Zone. Man, it feels like a newsy Thursday this morning. Hope everybody's doing well and staying dry this week. Buck is off to Titans practice. He will be absent for the entire show. So that is great news for everybody involved. You hear the joy in his voice. Robert Walsh and myself with you until 1 p.m. We are, as always, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Download the Hattie B's app today. You get a free dessert just for downloading the app. That's all you got to do. So much to discuss today. We have coming up in the 12 o'clock hour, Deanna Ivey of Visit Music City to take us inside the Super Bowl process for Nashville to host Super Bowl 64 in 2030. Robert Saleh is set to meet with the media. We will play that for you in hour 2. The Titans are on the practice field today, which they have been for OTAs, but this is the first practice available to media. So we'll see if Buck has anything useful to tell us tomorrow. Doubtful?
Yeah, what's that goober going to tell us? It was rainy. It was a dreary. I should have never went to this practice. It was awful.
I don't know what they're going to do today with the weather. I mean, it's just a sloppy week in Music City. So we've got, is it raining outside right now? We're shuttered inside here.
I think it's on and off. You know, but we like what the lunch lady in that Adam Sandler movie say? I know how your kids like it, extra sloppy.
Lady, you're scaring us.
Billy Madison, that's what it was.
Billy Madison. It's easy to get that and Happy Gilmore confused. We are on 104.5 The Zone TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. The F&M Bank chat is already hopping. Lonzo says, hell yes, no Buck. We all agree on that. Marciano says, shout out, Ramon Foster and Titans Radio. Yes, I guess that's the place we should begin. We do have playoff action last night to talk about. The Titans made a front office hire that I do think is interesting. There's a few different perspectives we can talk about that from, but of course, the place we should start is it is officially official. Ramon Foster. Not only is Ramon Foster stepping back into the Titans radio booth, lest I remind you guys that Ramon was a part of the Titans radio team when Mike Keith was the voice of the Titans. Ramon is back in the Titans radio booth, this time as an analyst alongside Taylor Zarzer. And we have a litany of former Titans joining the squad. Kevin Dyson, Brad Hopkins, Mark Mariani, and Ben Jones, all among a rotating cast of Titans alums that will serve as sideline reporters in the final season at the current Nissan Stadium. So how about that, Robert? All the pearl clutching over the last few days over a former Steeler being in the booth, never mind the fact that he's been in the community for 7 years and has literally been part of the team before. But God forbid, folks, just wait to see the entire picture come together.
Oh, no, hold on. I think we should still reserve judgment on Ramon Foster. After all, he is a Steeler. We cannot trust him. Forget all the things you knew, the man that you've known in the morning show, his herald, his merits, his morals, all of that. Forget that. at his core, he's still a Steeler. So we can't trust him.
Oh, man. What a few days it's been. What a few days it's been. Ramon's going to obliterate that role in the best possible way, as we all know, and as we have, again, literally heard him do as an analyst from the sideline on Titans radio, but people just have seemed to forget that in the process of the last few days. No, very excited to hear Kevin Dyson, who you have heard on this station talking about the Titans for years at this point, on Titans pre and post game, Titans talk back, of course. Truly one of the best people you can possibly meet in that space as well. KD doing some incredible things in the community, as he always has since ending his NFL career. Ben Jones, man. How about Ben Jones? Some actual professional media work. I mean, he's been schlepping it with us during football season once a week. Ben will come in here. He'll give his perspective during the Titans season. And from that to NFL sideline reporter, what a rise for our guy.
No, he's going to be great.
Incredible.
You know, you never get to see, people always say, oh, I need to see people that look like me on TV. I need to hear people that sound like me. It's good for people like me to see Ben Jones out there. Just a classic big fella. We love to see the big fellas win.
Speaking of, Titans and Oiler legend, Brad Hopkins is going to crush in that role. Brad has done a ton of media since his NFL career ended. You've heard him often on SiriusXM. You've heard him right here on The Zone. Excited to hear B-Hop in that role. And you know Mark Mariani is going to bring the energy. I don't have to tell you guys that. So I love it, man. I love the balance that they have kind of achieved here with former Titans, with the energy and the knowledge and the perspective. We've got skill position players, special teamers, offensive linemen down on the sideline, the miracle man himself, and the great Ramon Foster in the booth. So it's going to be a fun season, man. People are juiced.
So I missed the entire announcement. Do you think that they announced 4 names that would be participating? Do you think it would be a different Titans legend in every game, or we would see these guys in rotating fashions? And if that is the case, and we would see a unique Titans legend in every game, who is someone that was not named that you would like to see do the sideline game?
It will be a rotation of these guys. I don't know exactly what games these guys are going to be assigned to. And the press release left a door open for additional Titans radio talent, for contributors to be announced later on. So this is going to be pretty much the foundation of the booth. But that's a good question. What other former Titan would you like to hear do that sideline role? Is there anybody that comes to mind for you?
Ooh, what about Philip Supernaw?
Oh, man, just for the name?
Yeah, I don't know. That's the first Titan I could think of.
What do you think? That's the first Titan you could think of?
Yeah, like if we're just
all the Titans?
If we're just naming random Titans, that's the first one that shot in my head.
He ended his career here. He could still be living here for all we know. I have no idea. It's been a few years. But exciting stuff. And as we said, Titans are on the field today for OTAs. Now, coming up in the next segment, we will hear from Titans defensive lineman, former number 3 overall pick, Solomon Thomas, who Buck got a chance to sit down with yesterday. So we'll catch that conversation. Intrigued to hear Thomas's perspective, because he has one of the more unique perspectives on Robert Saleh, having played for him during his first stint with the Niners and during his stint as the head coach of the Jets and now with the Titans. So he will have seen Robert Saleh in pretty much every capacity he's been in as a coordinator or a head coach in the NFL. So I don't know that there are many players currently on the Titans that have more of a base of knowledge of working around Robert Saleh and watching him from his very first year as the DC in San Francisco. You think Buck asks about that? Do you think he was smart enough to ask about his days in San Francisco and in New York with Robert Saleh?
God, I hope so. But have you seen Solomon Thomas? Like his face?
The jawline is quite pronounced.
Dude, he is a stacked individual. He is a stacked individual.
Myles Garrett-esque, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking for football bodybuilders, I think this would be one of the first guys you would call.
There was other Titans news. Again, an unusually newsy week for getting into the last week of May here. As yesterday, the Titans made official the hiring of Dave Gardy as executive VP of football operations. So he essentially, the way I see it, replaces Chad Brinker in that front office. So, that structure feels all fairly similar. Chad Brinker, as we know, stepped down a few weeks ago, saying he wants to focus more on the personnel side. No question, it was kind of a weird roundabout tenure for Chad Brinker in Tennessee, but he's out the door. Gardy is in. Mike Borgonzi, who Gardy will report directly to, said, quote, "We're thrilled to have Dave join us here in Nashville. He's extremely respected around the NFL and brings a plethora of experience and valuable perspective molded together by 2 decades at the league office, in addition to time on the club side of operations. Dave will make an immediate impact here with the Titans, and we are excited to welcome him and his family to Tennessee." So they say, as Senior VP of Football Operations with the NFL league office, he helped construct and develop policies and procedures that ensured competitive balance and integrity of the game, while also overseeing the administration of league rules on game days. Before working in that department, he advised clubs on matters related to the NFL collective bargaining agreement, including player contracts, salary cap, and league policies, among others. So my first reaction to this, Bert, was, okay, hopefully this is it for a while, right? Like, could this be the end of the runway in this constant churn of turnover in the Titans front office? Like, never mind the head coach turnover. Straight up at general manager in these front office capacities, these executive VP and football operations roles. That's the biggest thing in my mind. Like, okay, can the Titans just settle into this structure after an extremely turbulent, let's say, 4-ish years?
There's a bunch of things you could say about the way the Titans have filled this position or who they hire, but his name's Gardy. That's how you pronounce it?
I have not confirmed that, to be totally upfront with you.
So it's either Jardy or Gardy,
yeah.
Right? There's one thing you could say about him. That guy is never going to bite off more than he can chew because he has got the jaw.
What's up with you today in the jaw lines?
Dude, go look at the picture they tweeted out. His jaw is pronounced. He looks like a villain from a Bond film.
I saw your
tweet. Not a bald, but look at that jaw. Like, that guy has no problem chewing Parmesan rinds or like what is it? Like whole pack of gum at one time for that guy. He's got it figured out.
Do you ever just eat a whole Parmesan rind?
A whole one?
Yeah.
No, I assume that would be blasphemous for you. Aren't you supposed to cook with them if you're Italian?
Yes, they are very useful. Like, make a simple, people get caught up. People are out here buying jarred tomato sauce, man. Just throw some olive oil and garlic in a pan with some canned crushed tomatoes and salt and red pepper flakes and throw a Parmesan rind in there and let it chill for like 30 minutes. There's your sauce.
You can puff them up in the microwave like a Cheeto puff. Like, there's so many different things you can do with them. I like the Cheyenne describes things with sounds sometimes, and one of my favorite Cheyenne-isms that she uses is young. Oh, it's got some young to it, like to it. I love that that comes with Parmesan rind.
Oh, man. So what were we talking about? Yes, Titans front office change. So the thing that kind of strikes me about this, Bert, is that the structure doesn't seem to be totally different. In his role as EVP football operations, Gardy will oversee football administration, football strategy and analytics, football research, football information systems, video, equipment, team operations, and security, all while reporting to Mike Borgonzi. It sounds a lot like Chad Brinker's role. So I think there was this thought of the Titans sold us a bill of goods that NFL front offices are more complicated. You got to have more than one person in these roles. A GM can't oversee all these things. But I do think that still holds true. Chad Brinker's just out, who, to be honest, had spent basically his entire career in a personnel capacity, so didn't have necessarily the resume to oversee these type of roles. And Dave Gardy is in, who does have the resume to oversee these type of roles. Like, you still need people to have this kind of role in a front office. It's just Brinker out and Gardy in. But I do think it's interesting that a lot of that structure they built with Brinker, yes, spearheading it, does kind of remain in place because it has to, right? Mike Borgonzi cannot operate the football team and be in control of personnel and also be worrying about football information systems. So we'll, I'm sure, talk more about that down the road. 615-737-1045 is how you jump into the show. Like we said, Titans are on the practice field today. Buck is over there. Robert Saleh is set to meet with Titans media. We will play that presser for you in its entirety coming up in hour 2. But for now, Buck got a chance to sit down with Titans defensive lineman Solomon Thomas. You can hear that conversation coming up next. You know what sounds good for lunch on a rainy day like this, some Hattie B's hot chicken. And the best part is you don't even have to leave the house. You don't have to leave the office. Of course, if you'd like to, there are 7 Middle Tennessee Hattie B's locations that will welcome you with open arms, whether it's on Melrose, on Broadway, West Nashville, on Charlotte. Heck, this weekend, if you're at Geodis Park watching Nashville Soccer Club, there is a Hattie B's hot chicken right there inside of the stadium. You can enjoy it from your seat watching the boys in gold. And if you download the Hattie B's app, you get a free dessert. Just for downloading the app, you can start to build up those rewards. You'll be amazed at how generous Hattie B's is with those rewards and get you some of that perfect, juicy, crispy hot chicken with those scratch-made sides. Every time we do these lives on the show, my mouth starts watering, and it's all I can think about. By the way, new location coming soon to East Nashville. Some very cool things in store for that location, so stay tuned for the new Hattie B's coming to Gallatin shortly, and head to Hattie B's Hot Chicken today.
The guaranteed offer is the simplest, least stressful way to sell your home. You go to our website, you fill out a quick form, we set an appointment, we bring you an all-cash offer. Literally, there's no lockbox on the front of your house, there's no showings, we pay all cash, we close in as little as 21 days, stress-free. We've helped thousands of homeowners just like you sell your home the hassle-free way with a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate.
Welcome back to the show. Titans on the practice field today. Robert Saleh is going to step up to the podium to meet with media coming up in 25-ish minutes. Again, we'll play that for you at 11:20 when they are actually on the practice field. Select players available at the outdoor media patio right around 1:15. So we'll see if we have any of that audio for you tomorrow. But in the meantime, Buck, who is at practice today, got a chance to sit down with Titans offseason acquisition and veteran defensive lineman Solomon Thomas, former Dallas Cowboy, former number 3 overall pick, and former Robert Saleh player with both the Niners and the Jets. And Buck caught up with him yesterday. Here's that conversation.
Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken, the best hot chicken in the world. We're very happy to have Solomon Thomas, new Titans defensive lineman, on the show today to talk about May and Mental Health Awareness Month in particular, but also to get to know you, Solomon. I know you're new to the area. Titans new to you. Obviously, you've been in the league for a long time, but it's an exciting time here in Nashville. I've just spent most of the day at Super Bowl press conferences. A strange enough thing for us to believe here in Middle Tennessee. But how are things going? How are you settling in?
Things have been great so far. Coming to Nashville, which is a great growing city, a great food scene, a beautiful place to be. So excited about that. But being around the team has been awesome. The guys have been great. Teammates are great. We have a great staff here, really good running organization. So, super happy to be here and to be a Titan. It's been a great transition.
I think that's like one of the first things that Saleh did was go and get a bunch of guys who he knows and who he's worked with before and brought everybody back together. Dable the same. We'll be out there at OTAs. The audience is hearing this on Thursday, where you guys will be back on the practice field, and I'll be out there watching along. But for the audience who's looking forward to seeing you guys and getting excited about the upcoming season, what have the first initial OTA practices looked like for you?
They've been good, just guys competing, guys understanding the new schemes that they're in, listening to their coaches, getting all their techniques down and honing in on that. But as a team, it's important to compete. Iron sharpens iron to make each other better and to make this time of the year hard. So, when the season comes around, it's it feels easier. Like we push each other so hard that, practices in the season, they're a grind, but they feel that it becomes our standard, it becomes our normal. And that's what we're doing. That's what Saleh's doing. All the coaches are doing. And it's been just been great, having fun and grinding with the guys.
What about Saleh makes him such an effective coach? I know obviously he's been a head coach and a play caller in several different spots, but from your standpoint, having worked with him in several different moments in his career, what makes him so effective at what he does?
I think Saleh is so good because, first of all, he's so passionate. Like, you'll see it on the field, you see it on the sideline every game day. No one's happier for their players more than him. Like, he's so ecstatic, so like infectious with his energy. Guys love playing for that. A guy who can bring that energy to the team and bring that passion. Then he's just really big on the details. Making sure we're callousing right now, making sure we're getting our joints and our muscles and fascia and tissue all right. He fights for players. Like, one of the things I love about Saleh is every building I've had him in, whether it's the Jets or here in Nashville, he makes sure we get all seed oils out of the building, like only olive oil, butter, and like lard, stuff like that. Like, he's about like the whole game of it, like the nutrition, the recovery, getting good stuff in the weight room, making sure you're eating good food. So he cares about the whole, because he understands all the details it takes to get to the Super Bowl and to be there. He's been there a few times himself, so he understands that process. And he's a coach who's going to get all of it out of you. And he's fun to play for because when you're with him, you're going to compete, you're going to work really hard, but you're also going to have fun.
Titans defensive lineman Solomon Thomas here with us on 104.5 The Zone. I hear he's a big conspiracy theory guy. Saleh, is he get into that with you guys?
I've heard him talk with guys about it throughout the years. I'm not the biggest conspiracy theorist, so sometimes I'll just sit and listen. But if you bring to him some interesting stuff, he's definitely gonna have an opinion and some thoughts. So it's always fun to have a head coach who you can just kind of talk to life about, and he always welcomes those conversations and is always open to that, which is cool.
Well, and I think that's somewhat of a transition, and going back to what you said as far as a coach that fights for the players and just the rigors that come with being an NFL player and all the different pressures and things like that, all the different things that are pulling at you at any particular point in time. And you're obviously here with us today to talk about Mental Health Awareness Month. I know you have a personal story that you'll share with the audience here shortly. But just as far as that relates to the NFL and how many different situations guys have to deal with, I have to imagine that when you find a coach that you can trust, and obviously not just one coach, but several across your career, that has to be such a reassuring thing for somebody like you, especially as you get further in your career, to know that somebody is there to support you, not just in one particular phase, not just based on your success on the field, but in every element, and mental health being a huge component of that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've been in the league going in 10 years now. So being around familiar faces, being around people I trust, being around people who want to be around me, means the world. So, being back with Saleh, being back with Coach White Cotton, being back with a lot of the teammates that I love here who I've played with before is such a great feeling. And to just, in the transition of going to a new team, you can be shy, it can be hard making friends, but I have these embedded friendships here with people like Tanzel Smart, Ernest Brown, John Franklin Myers, Jake Martin, Jermaine Johnson. So it's easier to come in and talk about, things outside of football, like mental health or, financial stuff or just life advice, and just kind of be more established in the locker room as a leader right away. So it's been, I'm super happy to be back here, to be around familiar faces and people who want me for sure.
You have an event coming up in Dallas on June the 5th, 5 years of impact and an evening with the defensive line. And I wonder if you could share with the audience what the defensive line is, the initiative that you and your family started, what the origin story behind that is, and just what you guys have said about trying to make an impact in the mental health space.
Yeah, no, 100%. I never really thought I'd be in the mental health world, and until, it affected me personally. In 2018, I lost my big sister Ella to suicide. And it kind of threw my whole family's world upside down. I didn't know much about mental health, and, we were now in the depths of it, affected by it. And, we felt really alone. We felt like we couldn't talk about it. Personally, for me, I resulted back to the old archaic man, be a man kind of mentality of like, push through it, work hard, don't cry, don't show your feelings. And, I realized that didn't work for me. That led me to a deeper, darker spot. All those festering feelings that I would push down just would like blow up on me, and got me to a really dark place, where I was stuck in suicide ideation. Didn't know how to talk about my feelings and emotions, went around talking about I'm good, I'm okay, when I wasn't. From that, went to therapy, learned how to cope, learned how to grieve, learned the importance of mental health, and that it's important to honor my feelings, to seek them out, see where they're coming from. And just in general, just like to use therapy as to get to know myself better and understand who I am. And from going through my own journey and my family going through the journey of losing my sister, we saw how big of a problem it was in our world of mental health. How many people are dying? How many people are affected by it? How many people have similar stories as my sister or myself? And we wanted to do something about it. So we started the defensive line, which our mission is to end the epidemic of youth suicide, especially for young people of color, by transforming the way we connect and communicate over mental health. And we're doing that by, we run suicide prevention programs for really any entity, but we really focus in schools, colleges, sports coaches, whether it's a high school, college, or pro level, any business where there's mentors, whether you're a CEO, an executive, a principal, a superintendent, whatever it is, just trying to make sure that we teach the mentors, whoever's overseeing youth or overseeing a group of people, how to talk about mental health, how to look for the warning signs, give them the language so they know what words to say or what words are okay to say, connecting them with their local resources to know that, hey, we don't have to do all the work and fix them. And there's professionals out here who can help us. And then one of the coolest things I think we do is we make every mentor, person who works with us, write a crisis action plan. So no situation is too big or too scary. So they know how to handle it and just, ask the questions, direct them to the right help. And we've been doing it coming up on 5 years now. And it's been amazing work, really hard work, but, work that's needed in this world. And, we're just trying to make a difference and save one person at a time.
It is incredibly important work, as you mentioned, and just going through your own experience, and as you mentioned, your family's experience with it. I have to imagine that there is an outsized level of people who have not had personal experience, who talk about suicide in particular in certain kind of ways that are not, for lack of a better term, fully educated about the kind of things that can contribute to stigmas and can contribute to people kind of shutting out the outside world, not seeking that kind of help. Where would you say the greatest stigma around just the discourse of suicide is right now, having done the work that you and your family have done?
There's so many misconceptions when it comes to suicide. And the first one I always like to talk about is, people try to say if you talk about it more, the more it's going to happen. And that's the biggest misconception, because the more you talk about it, the less it's going to happen, because you make it a more normalized conversation, whether it's just about your emotions or feelings, or if it's deeper and it's like talking about, hey, are you suicidal? Hey, are you struggling with being alive right now? There's so much research back on that. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, AFSP, has done so much amazing research and studies of how talking about it more lessens the risk of suicide. And I think that's the first thing to understand. And then the misconception of that, it's just a feeling, something you can't get over, or you're being weak, you're being soft. It's so not true, because mental health, whether it's bipolar disorder, depression, anxiety, it is just like any other illness. It's like diabetes, or it's like cancer, where it is a scientific illness where your brain is not chemically balanced the correct way, whether you're not blocking enough cortisol or getting enough serotonin, or things aren't just wiring the right way. There is a reason for why you're feeling the way you're feeling. And sometimes it's not just because, oh, you're feeling a certain way, it's because your brain is wired a certain way. So to respect and educate the seriousness of mental health and illnesses is very important, so people understand, hey, oh, it's not just a feeling. Oh, he actually might need medication, or he actually might need to see a psychiatrist or a therapist, because they need to rewire his brain or rewire the way that he's working, and try to fix that chemical imbalance. And I think those are two very big things that are very important for people to hear.
Well, and I having covered AJ Brown here during his time, AJ obviously talked to us at the time when he was still with Tennessee about having suicidal thoughts, and having a support system in place around him, including the coaching staff here at the time that was helping him through some of that stuff. And I imagine, Solomon, that you deal with a number of players or guys, whether they be teammates, whether those are guys that you know in the league, who also have dealt with this on some kind of level, whether that be their own personal struggles or the struggles of their family. And I imagine that some of them, like AJ, who are well-intended but may use some charged language necessarily, without having the full scope of what you do, obviously, with dealing with the level of resource and the level of rather information and education on the subject matter, in how they go about reaching out to others or spreading that message of, no, it's okay to talk about these things.
Yeah, no, it's the more we talk about it, the more we normalize it, and let people know, hey, it's okay not to be okay. We live in this very social media driven world where everything's a highlight, everything's positive, everything's good, but that's not the reality of life. There's going to be adversities, there's going to be hard times, there's going to be times where you're depressed, anxious, and it's okay. It's so important to know that, hey, it's okay with whatever you're feeling throughout that time, and that it's going to be okay, and that there is help out there. There's therapists, there's psychiatrists, there's psychologists, there's doctors, there's people who can teach you how to meditate, to get into art therapy, music therapy, breathing techniques. There's so many people out there who can help you in ways to get better, and to know that, hey, whatever dark storm you're going through, it's not forever going to be like this. But I truly think the most important thing is the conversation. So especially men, but women as well, and young children, like, see the example and know, hey, it's okay to talk about my feelings. It's okay to talk about me being depressed or me being really sad or angry right now, because we're all going through the human experience, and these are all feelings we will feel. Mental health is inevitable for everyone. Everyone is going to go through it at some point, no matter how they think about mental health, or no matter how they used to talk about it. It is going to happen. So it's important to talk about it, so when it does come up, and we do feel those things, we know how to process it. We know, hey, we have these safe places. We know we have these professionals we can go see. So I think the conversation is so important. So more people can realize that, hey, it's okay not to be okay. And it's okay for me to feel the way that I'm feeling.
Solomon Thomas here with us on 104.5 The Zone, talking about the importance of May as Mental Health Awareness Month and the great work that he and his family are doing. The defensive line, you can follow them on Instagram. You can find out more information about their event coming up in Dallas on June the 5th. The link is in the bio on their Instagram page if you would like more information on that. And especially having gone through, I wonder how you balance this role as you've learned more about your responsibilities with the defensive line, Solomon, and how you kind of manage. I don't want to call it a burden necessarily, but I have to think that a lot of people reach out to you. A lot of people refer to it as trauma dumping. However they go about sharing their messages or their struggles or all these different things with you personally, and obviously people associated with the defensive line, your family as well, especially given the situation around Marshawn Nealon's tragic passing last year, and how, at least from my perspective, seeing some of the press conferences or media availability that you did with the Dallas media after the fact, it felt like you were put in a position, or at least embraced the position of being a spokesperson for that locker room in a different kind of a way. I have to imagine that comes with some things that you may have needed help or working through in real time. That's a lot of pressure to put on one person.
Yeah, no, at times I'll be honest. At times it definitely gets hard. It's a lot, but that's why I'm blessed to be in this field and have to be educated in this field, because when they do get a lot, that's the reason I'm able to do it. I'm able to speak up is because I have, the support system in place. I have a therapist I can call or talk to at any time. I have safe places in my family, my fiance, my teammates. I have, a mental health routine for I know when things are kind of trickling down, whether I need to meditate, whether I need some just alone time, whether I need to, make sure that, hey, I'm drinking enough water, getting enough sleep, small things like that. Because this work can be a lot, but I embrace this role because I've been on the other side of the role where it's very dark and very alone, and I know how people can feel, and I can only imagine how many other people out there feel the way my family feels from losing loved ones to suicide. And I've learned that, even though like we might call it trauma dumping or all these things, but in my eyes, it's truly just vulnerability, because in these moments of vulnerability, when we're honest and transparent with our emotions and our feelings, what we've been through, we let someone else open to that. And in that openness, they can also understand that they may have similar feelings to that, or they may have gone through something like that in their life. And then it's a connection of like, oh, okay, I'm human, he's human, and these things are okay to feel. But sometimes you just need to hear them. And that's why I really try to preach that vulnerability is true strength, because it makes that connection. It lets that person, it lets and the other person know that, hey, you're not alone in this. Like, you may go through something like me, I may go through something like you, and we're all human going through the human experience. And, that's why I think that vulnerability and having those conversations, the deep, hard conversations, are so important.
Well, Solomon, I really appreciate the conversation and the great work that you and your family are doing. Again, June the 6th in Dallas is the event, the upcoming event. June the 5th in Dallas is the upcoming event for the defensive line. 5 years of impact. You can find out more information at their Instagram page. And just really appreciate you helping me understand, as somebody who covers professional athletes, Solomon, it's, sometimes we're not aware of what we don't know, right? Some of the language that we use in talking on the radio or writing and reporting and things like that. So this, hopefully not just educational for the audience and for those listening and for everybody else, but for me as well, to kind of, help me understand how I can do my job better around situations like this relative to professional athletes. So thank you so much for the time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
That is Titans defensive lineman Solomon Thomas. You can go back and listen to that entire interview if you missed it on the podcast. But on the other side, we have more anonymous SEC coach quotes. You want to hear them next.
It's Ramon Foster, and I'm with Aaron from United Structure Systems. Man, they came by today to check out my house. If there's anything, any issues, small or big, you're gonna fill us in there.
We can take care of it, no matter what kind of problems. So first off, we'll just kind of take a look through your house and see what kind of issues you got going. Cracks in the brick, cracks in the drywall, weird spots in the floor, doors sticking, windows not opening properly. Once we identify those areas, we're going to do a thorough inspection around the outside, make sure there's no issues going on with that. And then once we look over it, we'll talk about what's going on, and hopefully we ain't got no issues, and then we'll go from there.
Let's go. Let's go.
Mr. Foster, so we have looked at the issues that you brought up. We had the drywall in the attic up here above your bonus or your garage. You had some doors sticking.
I did.
Going in your bathroom. So we've inspected all that. We don't see any major structural concerns. So you're going to be one of our lucky good news customers today. There is some minor deflection there. That's not an uncommon thing. As any house is built, it's its biggest and its strongest the day that it's born. Right, and from that point, it just gets older, just like us. We ain't hopping up out of bed, taking off down the hallway, running downstairs anymore.
Not protecting quarterbacks anymore.
No.
Opening up late. We're done.
Your guard ain't there no more.
Okay,
so,
I got you.
So it just happens. It gets a little older and it starts to deflect. Now, there are some things we can do to kind of help adjust those doors, mainly adjusting in the door, which we don't necessarily do, and maybe doing some light shimming in the crawl space down there to address those sticking doors. But for now, no major issues there. We did talk about the grading in the back and some issues that we can take care of back there for you. But that's pretty much up in a nutshell. No big issues and you're good to go. So.
Awesome. So again, what you deal with United Structural Systems is it's upfront, it's honest, and now I can sleep peacefully at night, okay?
This is a different court, Blair.
Same result, Slay.
Oh, okay, Blair. See, that's Tyler Tanner. See, Tyler Tanner's in the house now.
Let's see what you got. Jerry's out, Blair.
Blair, come on. Okay, Blair, just come sit down. Come on, Blair, stop. You're going to get hurt. Blair, get off the court. That's enough.
What's the verdict, Blair? The courtroom is where I play ball.
Boy, Durham, injury law. And that ain't got no rules.
Anonymous quotes. Love this time of year. You know why I love this time of year, Bert?
Why is that?
Because the definition of anonymous is we have no idea who the hell is saying this. It could be Kirby Smart. It could be the GA that joined the staff down at Florida when John Summerall was hired. I don't know. I mean, it could be a trainer. It could be a quality control, a coordinator. But we take these things and we run with it. And Athlon Sports has been doing this for a very long time. And I have always enjoyed reading through what they've put out each and every summer. To be quite honest, it is one of the high points to me of the SEC offseason from a journalistic perspective. So Is there anybody? We talked yesterday about Tennessee and Vanderbilt, and we can rehash that stuff. We're going to talk a little more about those two teams coming up with their expectations and what some of these anonymous coaches said. Is there a team in particular in the SEC that you would like to hear what the anonymous coaches that were polled by Athlon Sports said?
Before we get into this, I believe someone does this for the NFL as well, right? Someone will put out, but when they do that for the NFL, they will say, oh, this was an anonymous NFL or NFC scout.
Right.
They don't give those clarifications in this article, right?
Which I love. I don't want the clarification.
No, yeah, me either.
No,
I want it to be as broad and as messy as possible.
I want our imagination to run wild. I want to picture Steve Sarkisian saying this about Texas A&M, whatever it might be. Do you have any preferences on what you would like to hear first?
Ooh.
What team are you most interested in hearing about?
I need some LSU beef, dude. I feel like that is the most. If anyone can talk crap about LSU or about the SEC, I feel like you would start with LSU.
Oh, by the way, we have things to get to about LSU basketball and football that we will get to later on in the show. We're reserving that for the 12 o'clock hour. But here is your anonymous coach's quote, courtesy of Athlon Sports, about Louisiana State University football. Quote, any offense that Lane Kiffin has had, they've been unique. They've been multiple. They've been unconventional. Schematically, with Charlie Weiss Jr., the offensive coordinator, I think they're going to make people play 11-on-11 football. I could see them easily getting back to doing what LSU does. It's going to be a 4-quarter game against those guys every time you play them with the tempo and the athletes they always have. Okay. Very football-centric.
Yeah, that was easy.
Very
Not too
easy.
messy.
No. Second quote. LSU defensive coordinator Blake Baker does such a great job of messing with the quarterback's eyes. He's a really big pain on third down. Ultimately, it's about what you can get your quarterback to know, and Baker makes it really hard on quarterbacks with what they think they see and what the reality is. And that's it. That's all we have on LSU. Nothing damning, nothing about how Lane Kiffin handled the exit from Ole Miss, strictly football related. Meanwhile, down to Ole Miss, speaking of, there's this quote. In those 3 games that he coached last year, Pete Golding was Pete Golding. He was himself. He naturally transitioned into his role while staying the same dude. That's going to be the challenge. Can he continue to rely on all the things that have made him a big-time ball coach, or is he going to be the anti-Lane Kiffin? A lot of people in Oxford want him to be anti-Lane, but he just needs to be Pete Golding. Ole Miss quietly feels like one of the more interesting teams in the SEC next season. Not just because of the post-Lane Kiffin stuff hanging over it. That does have a lot to do with it. By the way, they opened their season in Nashville in that Music City kickoff against Louisville at Nissan Stadium, of all places. But with Trinidad Chambliss back, didn't it feel like Ole Miss sort of on the run that they had in the college football playoff, I don't know, they captured this sort of emotion with Pete Golding taking over, and it felt like a very unifying thing as opposed to splintering when your head coach leaves and all the drama around it and trying to pull staffers with them and all of these things. It really felt like that team came together. How does that carry over into 2026 when they don't have Lane Kiffin anymore calling the offense? They don't have Charlie Weiss Jr. anymore as offensive coordinator, but they do bring back Trinidad Chambliss. Are you intrigued by Ole Miss at all in 2026, or is that just me?
Yeah, intrigued. Intrigued is a good word. Kind of like when you know there's beef between 2 coworkers, and you know that it's going to be interesting. Oh, I can't wait to get to work tomorrow. I can't wait to see these guys scrap it out. Like, I'm just interested to see the car wreck. Do they flounder and are able to pull it together and kind of do what they did at the end with Pete Golding? That's what I'm interested in. Not really how it plays out, but how the car crash starts.
We are on 104.5 The Zone TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. OG says Trinidad, probably a top 3 quarterback drafted next year. Do you think he belongs in that a category, I suppose, that Arch Manning is going to be in the discussion of, that Dante Moore, that I guess Lenora Sellers will be in the discussion of? Do you think Trinidad belongs up there?
I think that anyone that could conceivably reach that spot should be considered for that spot. We don't know anything except for what we learned last year. We don't know anything about what they're going to look like this year. So, yeah, I think right now it's safe to do that because if you listen to Todd McShay or anybody else talk about the quarterback crop in next year's draft, they're naming 8, 9, 10 guys who could potentially be talked about as first-round quarterbacks. So I think it's safe. he's got the build, right? He can do some stuff. He's built like a modern NFL quarterback. So if he has a good year, yeah, I could see him do that. I could say the same thing about 8 to 10 other quarterbacks. So, yeah, I think it's safe to do right now because we don't know. Now, if it turns in the middle of the season, sure, we can start making anticipations for the draft. But right now, I feel like that's safe.
John on the F&M Bank chat, speaking of Arch Manning, wants to hear about Texas. By the way, you can chime in, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch, where we are streaming each and every day. While you're on YouTube, by the way, be sure to hit the like and the subscribe button.
Wait. So there was no dirt on LSU?
Not a shred of dirt. We had 2 quotes in there. They were strictly football related.
What is this home cooking?
Mm-hmm.
Who are they talking to? That ain't what I came to this article for.
To be totally honest with you, I think the most damning feels like a strong word.
Yeah, give me the most damning.
No,
give me the worst thing that somebody said. That's what I want from this.
I think the most critical of these anonymous quotes was in the Tennessee section, saying that they're unproven at quarterback, which is a fact, that this is a pivotal year for them to succeed, and, quote, I don't think they'll be better. Saying, quote, without a veteran quarterback in that system, you don't feel the same energy and excitement around the program. Every time we have faced them or versions of them, it all runs through the quarterback and how confident he is at stretching the field and how mobile he is. And then finally, they want to run the ball, but do they have enough of a threat downfield to open the run lanes? The last time they were extremely potent was when Alex Golesh was there, which I understand Tennessee was not, the college football playoff contender last year that they seemed to be in 2022 with that burgeoning year 2 of the Heupel era. But that's also slightly inaccurate, right? Tennessee was a top 10 offense last year. They just weren't a complimentary football team. They couldn't play defense last year, but Joey Aguilar led the SEC in passing in the regular season. I thought that was an interesting quote, that the last time they were potent on offense was when Golesh was there, and that's going back to 2022. So that, quite honestly, is the most, I don't know, I'm not going to say scorched earth that anybody went, but...
No, it was lame.
Yeah, I mean, it's just football criticism.
It was lame. No, I want football adjacent criticisms. What everybody doesn't know is this guy has a drinking problem. Like I want people throwing people under the bus. Stop being so nice to you. Was it Nick Saban and Steve Sarkisian? Who was it the one year before SEC Media Days when everybody was like, ooh, it's gonna be good.
Jimbo, man.
Jimbo, that's what it was. It was not Sarkisian.
So remind me, was that, I feel like that was right around when you arrived on our doorstep. You were dropped off like a
stork,
like a baby at a fire station.
Yeah, it's like the giant stork. God, that had to be a big ass stork to drop my ass off. I think that was right as I was starting, and I was like, "Oh, I kind of like this spicy SEC stuff." But it's no ACC. It's no Jim Boeheim saying that the ACC tournament shouldn't be in Greensboro as he picks his nose. I'll tell you that right now.
I remember we made a fatal mistake that day of not carrying that press conference live. When Jimbo Fisher calls an impromptu press conference in the middle of the offseason, you always roll with it and see what happens.
I remember you fighting Buck over that. You're like, no, we need to carry this. And Buck is like, why do we care?
Yeah.
And then it happened, and he was like, yeah, we definitely should have carried that live.
Right again. So John wants to hear about Texas. Quote, this is, again, anonymous coaching quotes, courtesy of Athlon Sports. They made some bold moves. Obviously, there's a ton of money in that program, so you've got to feel like they made moves that they felt they had to make their program better. What's that going to look like after a loss or two? I don't know. Another one. I thought Arch got better as the season went on. Is he what he was unfairly hyped to be? Probably not, but I think he's a good, solid quarterback in this league. Another one. On paper, I think they're the team to beat in the SEC. They might be preseason number 1 again.
Who is it right now? It's probably them, Texas A&M, Georgia, something like that.
We don't have a preseason poll. We certainly don't have an AP poll yet.
We'll get have betting lines, though.
Yeah, that's a good question. FanDuel SEC Championship betting odds. How about this? We'll tell you. And where Tennessee and Vanderbilt fall in those odds coming up next. 11:01, good morning from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs 104.5 The Zone studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. It is officially official. Our very own Ramon Foster will step into the Titans radio booth this season as the analyst alongside Taylor Zarzer. Meanwhile, a rotation of former Titans stars will step into the sideline role in a confirmed rotation of Brad Hopkins, Mark Mariani, Ben Jones, and the Miracle Man, Dr. Kevin Dyson. The Titans made a front office hire on Wednesday, announcing Dave Gardy as Executive Vice President of Football Operations after spending the last 2 years in the Washington Commanders front office. Prior to that, he spent over 2 decades in the league office working for the NFL. Both Tennessee and Vanderbilt's SEC tournament runs came to an end Wednesday in Hoover. The Vols falling to Arkansas 8-4, Vanderbilt losing to Florida 8-3. Stanley Cup playoff action yesterday. The Golden Knights took a 1-0 series lead in the Western Conference Finals with a 4-2 win over the Avalanche. The Eastern Conference Finals get underway tonight as the Hurricanes host the Canadiens in Game 1. Carolina has yet to lose a game in this postseason. Meanwhile, in the NBA playoffs, the Thunder bounced back for a Game 2 victory over the Spurs at home, a 122-115 final. NBA MVP SGA with 30 points and 9 assists. Tonight in the NBA, it's Game 2 in the Eastern Conference Finals. The Knicks lead the Cavs 1-0. Tip-off is at 7 at Madison Square Garden. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. It's about that time to start meaningfully gauging expectations for the upcoming college football season. Summer workouts, I know in Knoxville, are getting ready to get underway. I believe next week players will arrive in Knoxville. Obviously, there is one player in particular that all eyes will be on to see if he walks through those doors, and edge rusher Chaz Coleman. Will he be a part of Tennessee's operation here moving forward after an interesting off-field personal issue? I don't want to say littered spring practice, but that was the discussion around Chaz Coleman, the talented edge rusher transfer out of Penn State. So that's the question right now about this Tennessee team. But maybe more meaningfully, what is a fair expectation for this team in 2026? Now, we left off in the last segment reading anonymous quotes from SEC coaches provided by Athlon Sports about other SEC teams, and we teased the SEC championship game betting odds. This is courtesy of FanDuel Sportsbook. So, Texas, as we figured, the favorite right now to win the SEC. They are plus 290 with Arch Manning back at quarterback. Georgia, the second favorite at plus 320. Then you see the drop-off. Robert, where would you wager out of 16 teams, Tennessee and Vanderbilt rank in FanDuel's championship odds?
I would say they're probably close together. I would say 6th.
Tennessee is 8th.
Ooh.
At plus 1,100. They are right behind Ole Miss at plus 950. They are one spot in front of Florida in year one of John Summerall at plus 2,000. Vanderbilt, 13. 13th best odds at plus 8,000 to win the SEC, right behind South Carolina, right in front of Kentucky. We put it out to a poll at Lucas Panzica's where you can go vote. Who do you have higher expectations for in 2026, Tennessee or Vanderbilt? And it doesn't even necessarily have to mean who wins more games, right? I feel like based on the standard of that program, I think you can make an argument that expecting Vanderbilt to go 7-5 with Jared Curtis at quarterback could be considered higher expectations for Vanderbilt football than saying you expect Tennessee to go at least 9-3 with that schedule that they have in 2026. Is that making any sense?
Maybe.
No. The answer is no.
Maybe just a little bit. I could make it make sense, but no, it's not making sense.
Okay. All right. We could just do it based on win total. Is it a slam dunk that Tennessee should be expected to have more wins than Vanderbilt? What do you think Tennessee's over-under win total is in 2026 per FanDuel Sports?
7.
7.5.
7.5.
So you're pretty much right on the money. What do you think Vanderbilt says?
Let's go 7.5, 7,
5.5.
Oh, wow.
So the over-under for Vandy is right at bowl eligibility. So it's interesting because I do think the talent floor for Tennessee is higher than Vanderbilt's right now, but both are dealing with a first-year starter at quarterback. There's a real scenario, obviously, where both teams end up starting a true freshman at quarterback. Figures to be Jared Curtis at Vanderbilt, which, by the way, did you see that he makes a quick cameo in Nate Bargatze's new movie?
I did see that. A lot of people saying, you got to start a game before you turn into a movie star. This is a kid that was driving like a Ferrari in high school. Like, I don't think you get to make the rules for him.
Hey, you don't get to make the rules for Nate Bargatze either, right? If noted Vanderbilt fan Nate Bargatze wants to throw some cash to Jared Curtis before he started a game, he has every right. Like, this is the dude that got up there. This is how crazy. This is a bit of a sidebar. This is how crazy the Jared Curtis momentum, how quick and how late in the game it picked up, Curtis to Vanderbilt. Nate Bargatze was the guest picker for College Game Day. I want to say when Vanderbilt was hosting LSU, if I'm not mistaken, at that point it was pre-Brian Kelly firing LSU, the number 10 team in the country. So around that midpoint of the season, Nate Bargatze was on the game day desk, like almost half jokingly making calls for Jared Curtis to come to Vanderbilt because we had seen a report that he attended a Vanderbilt practice with his high school football coach, Coach Brothers, down at Nashville Christian, who happens to be a Vanderbilt alum. And it was kind of like, Bargatze, you know, making the case for Curtis, not something that would ever actually happen. And then the momentum started going that way, and next thing you know, Jared Curtis is inking a deal with Vanderbilt. So more power to both Bargatze and Curtis for throwing him in that motion picture. The schedule, I would say, favors Vanderbilt slightly more than it does Tennessee. Not a slam dunk. Tennessee, I think the biggest bonus about the Vol schedule is that it seems like the toughest opponents are going to be inside of Neyland Stadium. They're not going down to the Swamp this year. They play LSU, but they don't have to go to Death Valley. They play Texas, but they don't have to go down to Austin. They play Auburn. They don't have to go down to the Plains. Tennessee's toughest, and same with Alabama. They get Bama at home. The toughest road trip for Tennessee is Texas A&M, without a doubt. That's a national title contender. Texas A&M, third to last week of the season. Vanderbilt does have to go to the Swamp. They do have to go to the Plains, and they do have to go to Georgia. So maybe it evens out a little bit, but I'm genuinely curious to see where people are at this point in the offseason, engaging expectations for Tennessee and for Vanderbilt, having such little sample size and so many questions about the quarterback position, the most important position on the field. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. Casey is in Brentwood up first. What's up, Casey?
Hey, Lucas, appreciate you taking my call. So, big Tennessee fan, was going to call, speak about them for just a minute. My expectations for Tennessee going into this year is to win somewhere between 8 and 10 regular season games. Now, to some people that might seem high. I don't think it's that, I don't think it's that crazy. If you go back and look at the 24 season, to me, this team, the 24 team, should be very similar. I think the defense is going to be a good bit improved. Top to bottom in year 6 for Heupel, this may or may not be his most talented roster, if you really look into it. Now the schedule's a good bit different than it was in 24, a good bit tougher, I would say. But going into year 6, man, I don't want to hear a lot of 6-7 win talk with Heupel. We've invested in the program to a great degree through the collective and all these different things, boosters, and so forth. It needs to be somewhere between the 8 and 10 win range, in my opinion.
Well, let me ask you real quick, Casey. Let me ask you this: you say that this may not be Heupel's most talented roster here in year 5. Is that a concern to you in and of itself?
No, I think it is his most talented roster.
Oh, you think it is his most talented roster? Okay, I'm sorry, I misheard you.
I think it outside of the quarter. Like if you look at the 24 season, so they went in with Nico. He was a redshirt freshman. It's not a whole lot different this year. It sounds like Faison's probably going to start in the fall. Nobody knows for sure, of course, but it's lining up the same way to me. Not a whole lot of. Going into 24, I don't think anybody was expecting Tennessee to go to the playoffs. I'm looking at this team very much the same way. Top to bottom, I do think it's the most talented roster he's had if you really drill down into it. Now, Chaz Coleman's going to be a big piece for him. I don't know what his deal is. If it's true that he's getting paid $3.5 million.
We appreciate the call, Casey. You had to roll with the music there. I did ask you that follow-up, though, so that is a little bit on me. But I do agree with pretty much everything you're saying there. I think that's a great comparison to go back to 2024 and say, okay, there's a path where this Tennessee team can sort of follow the mold of that team in which Nico Iamaleava, despite high expectations, by no means lit things up on offense. And Tennessee had to shift a little bit, where the defense was the star of the show. They controlled games. Dylan Sampson was the definition of a bell cow back. I mean, a record-breaking season for Tennessee at the running back position. And you were able to just sort of muscle your way to the college football playoff. Now, some of that got exposed when you played Ohio State, which at that point was the most talented team in the country, not even close. But Tennessee did not have the firepower to come close to matching that Ohio State team, especially on offense. Does this team have some components of that 2024 team in a quarterback that will be young, will be inexperienced, will be a first-year starter, but will be talented and can just take care of the football, can make good decisions with the ball, where you have a quality run game with maybe a little bit more juice on the outside at receiver, right? Maybe a little bit more there with Mike Matthews and Braylon Staley as opposed to that team in 24 where, Dante Thornton is probably your most effective deep threat, but, you didn't have Bolitnikoff-level production from the wide receiver position. So I do agree with most everything you're saying there, Casey, and that on paper, this is probably Heupel's most talented roster, but by way of experience, it's certainly not his most experienced, especially on the offensive side of the ball. And that can make it hard to gauge expectations. How do you sit here and say 10 wins college football playoff appearance is the bar when you haven't seen a quarterback, whoever it is, you don't know who it's going to be, and you've never seen whoever it's going to be take a snap? It's a very easy thing to do to say, no, it's year 5, you better be making the playoff. But it's not always that simple, right? You don't know what they have in this quarterback. How do you gauge fair expectations when you don't know what they have in the quarterback? Meanwhile, for Vanderbilt, same situation as far as the quarterback is concerned, but you feel so much better about the floor that Clark Lee has established as opposed to in year past when you fear that massive drop-off would happen. The question is, how big will the drop-off be from Diego Pavia to Jared Curtis? But I feel good enough about this Vandy program and what they can lean on in the run game with Cedric Alexander on the outside at receiver with the likes of Junior Colson coming back, an offensive line that will probably be better than what it gets credit for going into the season. But a tough road slate, though I still think Vanderbilt the bar for Vanderbilt should be bowl game. Make no mistake. I mean, when you talk about baseline expectation, I think it's easy to gauge it for Vanderbilt. Bowl game. Anything less than a bowl game, to me, is a huge disappointment of a season for Clark Lee and the trajectory he's trying to put this program on. But for Tennessee, it might be a little bit tougher to gauge those expectations. We mentioned in those anonymous quotes, one SEC coach said he doesn't think Tennessee will be better than they were in 2025. That's an 8-4 season with the loss in the Music City Bowl. And I don't know that's going to go over well in Knoxville. The question is, what does the end, if that's the case, if Tennessee's going 8-4 and down that similar path to last year, what does the trajectory look like at the quarterback position? Because it's a different story if you're schlepping through the 2026 season with bad quarterback play for the guy that won the job, but the defense is winning you games and you're scrapping your way to 8-4. That is different as opposed to you're just getting beat by good teams. You're down the path to 8-4, but man, this quarterback is showing you something. And there's a certain trajectory there for 2027. And it, granted, makes it easy for, opposing fan bases to point and laugh and say, always next year, right? But I do think there's a massive difference in how that, and how you frame the Josh Heupel era moving out of 2026, right? What you're getting out of the quarterback position by season's end. So the Titans, I do believe, are on the practice field as we speak. Has Robert Saleh's press conference concluded?
It has,
okay.
Yes.
Shall we listen to it?
We shall.
Let's do that after this. Titans are on the practice field. Media there in attendance. The first sample that Titans media gets to see in person of OTAs. Welcome back to the show. We are, of course, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. What better way to celebrate a rainy day than to order in some Hattie B's on the Hattie B's app? Start to build up those awards. In fact, maybe that's in our near future, Robert.
Ooh, don't tease me. Don't talk to me like that if you don't. What's the Toby Keith song? You shouldn't kiss me like this. Don't kiss me like that unless you mean it like that.
Speaking of Robert Saleh at the podium earlier today. So you may have seen some nuggets from that press conference, some interesting stuff in there. So why don't we hear from the Titans head coach meeting with the media at OTAs?
Robert, how has Cam looked in getting back and working on the field? We've seen the videos put out. It looks like he's pretty healthy. Is he where you'd like him to be at this point?
Yeah, his arm's perfectly healthy. He's slinging the ball. I mean, he's got some good velocity on it, and just like everyone else, learning the system. And but so far, so good.
That interaction between he and Brian Day, that's obviously going to be key. How have you seen that kind of mature in the little bit of time they've been together?
It's been great. Everything's going to be great right now. Like I've said it to our guys, and I'll say it to you guys, that the true character of everybody in this building will be revealed in adversity. And right now, things are good. Everyone feels good. Everyone's receptive. Everyone's paying attention, and there's a lot of good dialogue. And right now is a great opportunity to build that trust. And there'll be bumps in the road, and it'll be exciting to see how those interactions take place when that happens.
He suffered from some drops last year, Wandale and Tate, obviously pretty reliable. How much do you expect that to help him and for this to be a sure-handed group of receivers for him?
Anytime. The skill guys, obviously the group overall being much improved. But when a quarterback can just has confidence where where the range of their catchability, their range is a lot greater. But between Wendell, Tate, even Alec looks fantastic. Just overall the group is really elevated over the course of since last year.
Robert, what's the biggest thing you've learned about Cam from when you first walked into the building to now as you guys are kind of on the field?
I've said it before, just his overall work ethic, the type of person he is. And look, there's still a long way to go. There's still a lot to learn about one another, and looking forward to those opportunities when they present themselves.
Obviously, you've run practices as a coach for years at this point. Were there any changes that the players said were significant in the way that you guys like to run practice the first couple of days?
Through OTAs, I don't think you're going to see much difference. I think the significant differences in practices will show up in training camp.
Are there other things, like when you got in the building, as far as dietary stuff, that you wanted to re-examine and see kind of like what the...
Yeah, no, well, 100%. I thought one of the first things I think we did here is to get rid of all the seed oils in the building, and which I think the players appreciate. I know Miss Amy has allowed us to attack the budget and get the players better variety. I think I'll put our staff, and I mean that I've been in 6 different buildings, and I'd put this staff up there with the best of them. I mean, the product they put out in the cafeteria daily is outstanding.
What's it been like for you learning players? Obviously, there's some guys from afar, being around them, seeing what they can do, and are you finding out things about guys each day?
Yeah, we're all learning. Every single day you're learning. Being on the football field now and executing 11-on-11 football, you're seeing the post-snap cognitive part of every single player and just the way they operate. So, the classroom is one thing, being on the field is another. And again, like I said, there's adverse moments in every practice, and to see how players respond, there's opportunities for players to showcase their character, and you're just observing. You're observing everything they do, every step they take, and so it's been good in that sense.
What did you think when you got the schedule and saw the Jets as the first game? Is that personal, or how did you feel about that?
No, I've said it before. I'm appreciative for the Jets and everything that I had. It's been over a year and a half now. It's in the NFL, it's kind of like 10 years, but it's to be expected with the NFL, but didn't think anything of it.
When you saw Monty last year and looked at him, did you see a guy that was maybe a little bit overextended by everything that was going on around him in the secondary, and how much will he benefit from everything that you've rebuilt in the defensive backfield?
You talking about Hook?
Yeah.
Hook is a veteran, man. He's been so impressive just in the little bit of time that we've been able to spend with him, and even for a veteran, there's always going to be room to grow, and we do rely on our safeties with regards to a lot of communication, and having him back there, that veteran presence would be beneficial.
Robert, is Jackson Slater a center or guard for you right now, and what led to that decision?
Say it again.
Is Jackson Slater a center or a guard for you right now, and why?
We're allowing him to work into that competition with regards to that right guard spot, and but he's also got the flexibility, and we're kind of helping him along with regards to center too. But we're going to give him every opportunity to win that right guard spot.
When you have rookies coming in, obviously not Tate, but I mean when you have other rookies coming in, like how do you handle them earning that starting job? Is that something where like they have a little more of an uphill battle for some coaches? That's how they are with rookies. Like they got to do a little extra to earn a spot.
I think it'll naturally happen, and the course of it will take care of itself. The amount of work that they put in, they're already behind, so you don't want to thrust them into the in with the veterans who are operating at a faster clip. They'll show who they are. They'll have plenty of opportunity to showcase who they are with regards to the reps and the way we distribute it during OTAs, and the cream will always rise to the top.
In any competition or in any roster matter, what do you look for, or what can you see before the pads come on?
Just how natural football is for a lot of these kids. Like I said, there's a difference between the classroom and then the post-snap cognitive aspect with regards to being able to play football, and you can see it in the way guys move and the way they respond to different post-snap activity. Like when the pitcher changes, how does a player respond? And so you can gain a lot of information with regards to OTAs. Now, no one's ever made a team in OTAs because that cognitive part, as freely as it moves in OTAs, changes when pads come on, and the speed and it gets a little bit faster and it gets a little bit more violent. You'll find a lot of players who shine in OTAs not usually, but a lot of players will disappear once pads come on, versus guys who didn't show well in OTAs kind of appear once the pads come on. So it gives you kind of an idea, but you never want to pass a stamped judgment until pads come on.
How are some of your rookies maybe adjusting to work with the vets so far?
I think they've been doing great, just going through all the meetings and their participation, and the vets, I feel like our vets have done a really nice job accepting them and kind of guiding them along, and I'll just speak for the linebacker room and the way they've all embraced Anthony and kind of helping him along and understanding the scheme. But it's happening in every single room. So I'm really pumped up for our vets in that regard, and I think the rookies are doing a really good job being receptive to their guidance.
Which players have stood out? First-year players have stood out in absorbing the playbook so far.
You know what? Like I said, we've had 2 days of install. This is day 3. I don't know if anyone's really stood out yet. It's you're seeing the normal, the good, the bad, the overload. I think today being day 3 of install, you'll probably see a little bit more busts and missed assignments, and that's all natural. It's the first time not the first time, but second time they're all hearing it.
What can you see from the backup, the defensive backs that are in the running for backup spots? What can you see out here without the pads on that can give you an idea that, hey, this guy may have something?
Yeah, same thing. I mean, for all intents and purposes, OTAs is like a 7-on-7 camp. It's a passing camp. There's a lot of passes, and so you'll see their ability to play football to with regards to absorbing the playbook, alignments, athleticism, foot speed, just overall football awareness and football IQ. So you can pick up a lot of that stuff, and then again, once the pads come on, there's a whole nother level that we'll see.
How do you administer a competition at the center and right guard spot with the limited amount of padded reps in training camp, 3 preseason games instead of 4? Obviously, you don't want to have a guy like Peter get hurt in a preseason game, but how do you actually have a competition on the offensive line, given the way the CBA is written now?
Yeah, it's always tough, especially with OTAs. Like, I remember when I first got in the league, the spring OTAs, even though we weren't padded, I mean, it might as well have been padded, how physical and violent these practices used to be. And now you're going to see kind of a 3/4 speed between our O-line and D-line. So in that regard, it is tough. You are limited with regards to reps, but we'll have joint practices that allow us to be able to see all that. We'll have our three games, which will allow us to see it. And then obviously I mean, what better way to get to see a competition than guys trying to block Jeffrey Simmons or John Franklin Myers or the interior of our D-line. So there's going to be a lot of opportunity. No, it's not as good as it used to be, but we could still figure it out with what we have.
I know it's 1,000 miles away, but philosophically, especially first year with the new schemes, what's your approach to preseason play for your new guys? Will we expect when you get there to see you play a lot because you need those reps, or do you value more protecting your guys?
As of now, and subject to change like everything else, we're playing in all 3 games.
What two more guys? Wan'Dale Robinson added already to the receiver room.
Just veteran presence. He knows Dayball's system, so he's an extra coach on the football field, and the way he works, his deliberateness, his intentionality, his attention to detail, especially in walkthrough situations, I think has been beneficial to teach these young guys how to go about their business the right way, the way he rehabs, the way he regens, the workouts in the weight room. I think just overall being a pro has been beneficial with these young guys.
With Femi Oladejo, what do you look to focus on to help him, continue to make that transition? And how much do you feel your scheme, attack, get upfield, and go get him? Like, how much do you feel that'll help a guy like him that's making that move the way he is?
I think when you look at someone like Femi, he checks every box. He looks unbelievable walking off the bus, right? And he's got great length, he's got great speed. For him, it's going to come down to putting on pads and playing with the violence that we ask for out of the defensive line. Different than a 3-14, and it's not to say that he's not a violent person. He can play with violence, but you're not really asked when you're just sitting there setting edges and the way outside linebackers play. We get off the ball, we're in your face. There is a learning curve. So right now it's more just fine-tuning his movements with regards to pass rush and understanding pad level and the way we ask our guys to get off. But the true growth will happen once training camp hits.
Last one, Jared.
How did the team feel when the schedule came out with no primetime games? Was that a discussion? Was that a slight?
No, we'll take them as we come, and hopefully the NFL makes some changes towards the end of the year, and we find ourselves in some of those slots. So.
All right.
Thanks, Robert.
All right, that is Titans head coach Robert Saleh out at the facility for OTA. So, got to earn your way into primetime. That's how the press conference concluded. A few things there. We'll come back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. Bert and myself with you until 1 o'clock. He closed out there talking about the primetime games, but interesting to hear Robert Saleh go ahead and say in late May, yeah, everybody's playing preseason. All 3 games. As of now, right? Obviously, that's subject to change. Somebody nursing an injury, somebody rehabbing, not wanting to risk a particular player for a certain circumstance that pops up during training camp. We understand, subject to change. But Robert Saleh going ahead and putting that mentality out there. Everybody's going to play in all 3 preseason games, which I think the majority of Titans fans would sign up for. Is there a more rinse and repeat discussion when preseason rolls around, Robert, in every NFL market? To play or not to play?
Yeah, because there are success stories with both ways, right?
Yeah.
Like Andy Reid famously is playing everybody in every preseason game. It might not be the whole game, but they are going to get some run. And there's people that do the inverse of that. So, I think it's worth debating, but also it's really what you want your team to be. Like, if Robert Saleh thinks that that's the best way to get this team ready to play week 1, then do it. I fully trust. We're in the mode now where, like, you dance with who you brought to the prom, right? He's your head coach. Buy all the way in to everything he wants. I think he noted that they've removed all seed oils from the building. Now, whether you're a health freak or not, you got to buy all the way in. If that's what he wants and he thinks is best for the team, you go with it until you are proven otherwise. If they're weak and brittle, bring the seed oil back. I don't know. But hell, right now, you got to let him run the roost.
I'm picturing them dumping the seed oils into Amulet Lake, a la like Boston Tea Party. Make it very ceremonious.
All of those fish and snakes are going to be so fat and toxic.
We don't want to pollute. We don't want to pollute our bodies of water in Middle Tennessee like that, of course.
No, but I kind of like it. Like if I was a fan, I would like that. Like Cam Ward does need to play. Everyone needs to play. They need to gel. They need time together. They need time on task. It makes sense to me.
Saleh also mentioning that Jackson Slater is competing at right guard. So he does have the flexibility to play center, which Saleh mentioned, but sounds like the second-year player, fifth rounder out of Sacramento State, is primarily competing for that starting right guard spot. So way too early to sit here and say this, but Austin Schlottmann trending towards being your starting center if you're the Titans. I mean, could it boil down to Austin Schlottmann, the former Giant that they brought in on a one-year deal, or Pat Coogan, the day 3 draft pick out of Indiana, who everybody loves, right? I mean, the leadership speaks for itself, high-character player. There could be some athletic deficiencies that would make it very difficult for Pat Coogan to step into a starting day 1 center role in the NFL. But I'd say things trending towards Austin Schlottmann being your starting center in 2026. And as we've talked about time and time again, I don't know that there's more questions around this team, especially offensively, than on the interior of the offensive line. So Peter Skoronski at left guard, we understand that. Are things trending towards Schlottmann at center and Volson/Slater at right guard? Far too early to have that discussion now, but Saleh putting that out there. And then we have a comment in the chat that, I just lost it. That was asking about Cam Ward. Ricky says, just please keep our king, Cameron Anthony Ward, safe in the preseason. And Robert Saleh, one of the first things he was asked about, he confirms Cam is perfectly healthy. So good news for Titans fans. Cam Ward coming off of the shoulder injury, perfectly healthy, rolling into OTAs. So a lot there. I did like this quote from Saleh saying everything's going to be great right now, right? Like it's OTAs. Nobody's got pads on. Everybody's getting to know each other. Everybody's starting that gelling process of a new coaching staff and rookies on the field and the wave of free agency additions. The bumps in the road are going to come down the stretch and into training camp. And at that point, you get an opportunity to see how players react to certain things. But right now, it's all good vibes. All good vibes. And then heading into the summertime, it's like school's out, right? If you're an NFL player. But at the moment, it's all going to be good vibes over there at that facility.
What I want to know is whose body composition will most positively be affected by the removal of seed oils. 615-737-1045. Who on the Titans roster was looking a little flabby last year? Wasn't looking as hard body as they should have. I'm gonna throw in Jackson Slater, who they said he is going to have every opportunity to win that right guard spot. He's also getting some mix in on center. I think that dude is going to go from looking like a bowling ball to looking like a cinder block. Just have him look like a daggum porta-john out there. That's what I'm looking for.
How many gallons of seed oils would you say you consume on an average daily basis?
Seed oils, microplastics. Well, I mean, what am I not consuming at this point? I don't even know. Okay. Can you define seed oils? Like, does Webster have a seed oil definition?
This isn't from Webster, but seed oils, according to Google, are cooking oils extracted from the seeds of plants. So, yeah, anything that comes from a soybean, canola, sunflower.
Would olive oil be considered?
No.
Because, I mean, isn't the pit of an olive, that's technically the seed.
Kind of oil is olive oil?
See, and this is whether you're going to buy in or not.
Olive oil is a fat, a liquid fat.
Okay.
So the oil does not come from the pit or the seed of the olive.
There we go. It comes from the meat.
The pressing of the fruit.
Yeah, better be cold pressed too. Better be cold pressed. Okay, I was worried that you would not be bought into Robert Saleh's new regime.
All I use is olive oil,
right,
and avocado oil.
So you would be bought in. So avocado oil.
Not a seed oil.
Yeah, there we go.
There
okay,
you go. Health tips on this Thursday.
We're getting smarter and fitter.
615-737-1045. Bustin says olive oil is a seed oil. No, it's not. It's a vegetable oil. Technically, it's a vegetable oil.
Oh, so canola oil. Oh, that's from a seed.
That's from a seed. See, we're learning so much.
We are learning.
There's a trend in offensive line development in the college game that most definitely affects your favorite college football team. We'll tell you what that is next.
If your energy's off, if things aren't working like they used to, you're not alone. If you have not been yet or not considered yet going to the Tennessee Men's Clinic powered by Men's Pro, you should. What you'll like about them is that they've been doing this for years. They're not just the newest fly-by-night place or sketchy online pill. You're working with true medical providers. They'll run labs and build a plan specifically around you, not some one-size-fits-all deal. They treat low performance, ED, weight loss, and even peptides like NAD+. Their treatments have worked for thousands of men, and most guys say they wish they would have come in sooner. Right now, your lab panel and consultation, just $99. So call them today at 615-208-9090. That's 615-208-9090, or visit them online and book easily in under 30 seconds at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
Is the current state of the transfer portal in college football going to start affecting how much or how many resources teams devote towards recruiting the offensive line position, developing the offensive line position? And I think this translates across the board. Welcome back to the show. We're fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Buck out of Titans practice. Lucas and Bert with you till 1 o'clock. If you are a college football fan, whether it's in the SEC, whether it's here for the Vols or Vanderbilt or anywhere across the country that's devoting NIL resources to recruiting, this conversation, without a doubt, affects your football team. So I'm going to shut up for a minute because Aaron Taylor of CBS, who's been doing some stuff for the Joe Moore Trophy, of course, awarded to the best offensive line in college football every year, putting out social media clips. To me, this has certainly a correlation with a trend that I think Tennessee is going to start to follow. Can't necessarily speak for other programs, but here is Aaron Taylor, CBS college football analyst, on what is happening right now with offensive line development in the world of college football.
Give me 1 second. I got an Adobe issue. And it's not one of those where it's like, oh, the producer didn't have it ready. Give me 1 second. I got you.
Tell us exactly what it's telling you.
It said Adobe must restart. Because there's an error in the file
Adobe has to restart. Oh, we're all just always waiting on Adobe.
Yeah, Adobe has encountered an error when reading or writing to the disk. We recommend that you save your work and restart Audition. Okay, well, I'll do that, Lucas. Why don't you filibuster?
Go a little inside baseball.
Yeah, very inside.
So we will hear from Aaron Taylor on this. But I to sum it up, and Austin Price of VolQuest was on Ramon and Will earlier this week, and he brought this up as well. The sort of trend of devoting NIL resources to prospects out of high school and how that is coming back around to bite certain college football teams. And here's Aaron Taylor of CBS Take 2.
Your team just signed a 5-star offensive tackle. 10 years ago, you celebrate. But today, you should be a little nervous. Here's why. A 5-star receiver and a 5-star tackle are worth the same in recruiting. But the receiver can win you games in week 1. The tackle probably can't because almost none of them are ready early, this Hall of Famer included. Look at the gap in year 1. That's not a small difference. And that gap becomes a real problem the second we start talking about rev share. And someone who knows a lot more about this than I do put it way better than I could.
So the more money you invest in those young linemen, well, that's really dead money. Because it's it's a developmental position.
Yep.
It is. And what's happening is those players aren't getting developed. They're just getting thrown to the wolves. Because
they're making the money.
They're making money.
Yeah. See, here's the loop we're stuck in. Coaches feel pressure to play freshman linemen because they're paying them like starters. They're paying them like starters because of the pressure coaches feel to recruit the highest-ranked players they can. But recruiting rankings don't measure immediate impact. They measure the projected ceiling over their career. So they're paying for a 4-year forecast, but demanding a 4-month return. At the one position in football where patience is the development. Last year's playoff, 60 offensive line starters. 3 were true freshmen. Now, they're outliers, sure. Dudes like Tristan Wirfs and Joe Alt and Panay Sewell and recently Francis Marino, like Coach said, thrown to the wolves. But with those cats, you end up worried for the wolf. They're outliers because the rule is the opposite. Look, we built a system that pays O-linemen to skip the very thing that makes them worth the money. That's not a recruiting problem. That's a development problem. And it's costing us good linemen and good football all at the same time.
There you go. College Football Hall of Famer Aaron Taylor talking about the current state of offensive line development in college football, doing that for the Joe Moore Award social media team. So speaking of those players thrown to the wolves, Francis Maui-Noah, who obviously just got drafted, a day 1 starter at Miami as a freshman. Tennessee had one of those guys this past year. And David Sanders at right tackle, who started not immediately as he was dealing with a knock and injury early on in the year. Took a few games for him to get in there, but started the bulk of the games his true freshman season at Tennessee. David Sanders did. And there's a thought that David Sanders is going to be Tennessee's left tackle in 2026. Now, he also probably ended up being Tennessee's best option at right tackle, talented player, 5-star to high school. But everything Aaron Taylor's saying there stands so true, and I think it has such an effect on the way Tennessee has gone about things, where you've got Austin Price of VolQuest earlier this week with Ramon and Will, basically saying that some of these resources are going to start to be devoted to the transfer portal. Because what you're finding right now in college football is if you are devoting all of this money to finishing with highly ranked recruiting classes and bringing in talent out of high school and developing that talent, how much of that talent is even giving you that payoff on the field? How much of that money that you're sinking into these high school prospects ends up just being a sunk cost because they're either on the sideline, not ready to play, or before they really do get in there to get to make an impact for your team, maybe they're not playing as quickly as they would like. Maybe the circumstances aren't exactly what they thought it would be, and they have the freedom to go anywhere they want and to raise that price point that you initially paid them out of high school, despite not really producing for them once you got there. And Taylor's using offensive line because that is naturally a position, as he mentions, that takes longer to develop and takes longer to be an instant impact at any level of football. But I think this rings so true, Robert, where if you're a Tennessee fan and you're saying, okay, it's great that you're pulling in these high-profile prospects out of high school, but the programs that are doing it at the highest level right now, Ohio State, Indiana, they just won the last 2 national titles, and they did it with their highest paid players being dudes out of the portal, not dudes that they brought in out of high school as 5-stars. Of course, they still have a high floor in recruiting. You can't do this without that. But those schools have figured out how to strike that balance of bringing in ready-made guys and really devoting the big bucks to those players that are going to be so much less likely to bolt as opposed to the true freshman that's not playing right away.
The only thing that I disagree with him on at the end, saying it's a developmental issue, and maybe I'm misunderstanding him, I take that as he's saying it's a developmental issue in high school that these linemen aren't ready to play in college. I don't think they'll ever be ready to play as a freshman unless, obviously, outlier cases, because defenders are staying in college longer because of NIL. So you're always going to have bigger defensive linemen, edge rushers, than you would no matter the development of high school offensive linemen. I think the one thing that could fix this is contracts. To where if you are going to pay a high-star recruit out of high school, paying him that money, if there's a contract, you know you have him for 4 years. There's no reason to rush him out there because you are paying him money, but you're not worried about it being a sunk cost of him leaving after a year, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. And I agree with your point on going down to the high school level. The onus should not be on high school coaches to develop offensive linemen better.
Now, they could. There are things they could do because other people smarter than I have talked about the development and the technique of college linemen going to the NFL, and it's because how they're being brought up in high school and college. It's no longer about sustaining a block. It's dying slowly.
Yeah.
You're trying to teach them how, like, not being the utmost, high-level offensive line techniques. It's more about how do I just keep this guy, like, even if it means like salvaging it by just dying as slow as possible. I think it's an issue as a whole, but could high school offensive line development be better? Sure. Absolutely it could. But at the end of the day, I don't think that's the thing that's not going to be the impetus of change.
Yeah.
The impetus of change in this issue would be contracts in college football.
Of course, yeah, which is long overdue, and that's a conversation for another day. We put it to a poll at Lucas Panzica where you can vote. Would you rather your team sign a 5-star offensive lineman or a 5-star receiver? And right now, the majority of votes are saying offensive lineman. I probably should have been more specific and said out of high school, but I'm surprised to see more of the votes going towards offensive linemen because I agree with most everything Aaron Taylor had to say there. Our buddy Jay, known as Theory Athlete.
I was about to bring this up. He makes a great point.
Go ahead.
I think it's a developmental issue, and O-line is a spot that it's easy to develop bad habits if you start early.
Yep.
100%. When you're just baptized by fire and you're really just trying to stay alive in the SEC or Big Ten or where have it, you really don't have time to refine those things or get better at those things because you're fighting for your life.
And he also says offensive line, receiver, safety, whatever position, you're paying a kid $1 million out of high school, and maybe they don't play that first year, and they're already asking for more the next year. Right? They're already saying, and they have that leverage because they've got options in their back pocket to make more money than they made in their freshman year at your school, despite the fact that maybe they didn't make any impact. And you end up having spent $1 million, whether that's out of your $22 million rev share pool or straight up out of NIL. You end up having spent 6 figures on a player that contributed almost nothing. It's the definition of a sunk cost. So, yes, as a Tennessee alum, I would love to see Tennessee gear more towards spending that big money on players that are going to come in as a junior or as a senior that have done it at a certain level where you hate to say it this way, but another coaching staff has essentially done the grunt work that you can then benefit from. So it's an interesting discussion. I'm fascinated by it in this current world that we're living in. But when you look at some of the best players that Tennessee has recruited and developed out of high school in the Heupel era, you don't get a ton of those big money guys. It's the Deshaun Bishops of the world, the Braylon Staley's. Those guys were not blue chippers out of high school that got in the cliche and they put their nose to the grindstone and maybe redshirted a year. And now here they are. They're producing for you as opposed to the Nico Iamaleava situation. That did get you to a college football playoff, granted. But if you knew how that situation was going to end, if you're Tennessee, would you go back and do it over again? I don't know. So work on your base always has to come out of high school football. That I don't think will ever change, ever. In the NFL, your base has to come from the NFL draft. But go fill those big needs in the portal, man, with guys that can come in and deliver. I think it's a fascinating discussion. And as Austin Price said right here on the station a few days ago, it seems like that's where Tennessee is starting to trend, which to me is certainly a good sign. You guys have got to hear about what's going on at LSU. On the hardwood, on the football field, that's next. 12:03, good afternoon from the Circus Sports at the Mint Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Lucas Panzica. It is officially official. 104.5 The Zone's very own Ramon Foster is stepping into the Titans radio booth this season as the analyst alongside play-by-play man Taylor Zarzer. A rotation of former Titans stars are set to step into the sideline role in a confirmed rotation of Brad Hopkins, Mark Mariani, Ben Jones, and Kevin Dyson. The Titans also made a front office hire on Wednesday, announcing David Gardy as Executive VP of Football Ops. He spent the last 2 years in the Washington Commanders front office. Prior to that, spent over 2 decades in the league office for the NFL. The Titans on the practice field today for OTAs. Robert Saleh met with the media earlier, saying that quarterback Cam Ward is, quote, perfectly healthy in the offseason program. Both Tennessee and Vanderbilt's SEC tournament runs came to an end Wednesday as the Vols fell to Arkansas 8-4. Vanderbilt fell to Florida 8-3. Stanley Cup playoff action last night. The Golden Knights took a 1-0 series lead in the Western Conference Finals, holding off the Avalanche with a 4-2 victory. The Eastern Conference Finals get underway tonight. The Hurricanes hosting the Canadiens in Game 1. Carolina yet to lose a game in the NHL postseason. In the NBA, the Thunder bounced back for a Game 2 win over the Spurs last night. NBA MVP SGA, 30 points, 9 assists. Tonight in the NBA, Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals. The Knicks lead the Cavs 1-0. Tip-off at 7 at Madison Square Garden. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone. Welcome into the show number 3, hour 3. Wow, what a start. Do you want to do it? Can we do that again?
You just want me to start it over?
Yeah, let's do the open again.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, wait 1 second. I've got to build it all, so just give me 1 second. It's really easy, and I'll do it I would never do this for a buck, but I'll do it for you, buddy. No problem. No skin off my bones. Just give me a moment.
No, you're good.
We can fix all this in post anyway. It's not like anybody's actually.
It's not live. I'll be patient.
Okay. I'll count you down. 3, 2, here we go.
Welcome into the show. Hour number 3 off and running, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Is that any better?
Was what any better?
It didn't happen. It didn't happen. Deanna Ivey coming up at 12:30, the Chief Marketing Officer for the Nashville Convention and Visitors Corporation. She'll give us an inside look into the city of Nashville. Visit Music City, Nashville's tourism headquarters, essentially, and the role they played in bringing the Super Bowl to Nashville. And what's next? After you host the pinnacle of American sports, where do you turn next as a city in the sports space? So Deanna will join us coming up at 12:30. Meanwhile, you have got to hear what college basketball insider Jeff Goodman had to say on our sister station down in Birmingham, Jocks 94.5, Mac and Cube with Greg McElroy and Cole Kubelik, of course, of ESPN and the SEC Network. I'm not going to continue to blab. Let's hear Jeff Goodman talking about LSU head basketball coach Will Wade.
He doesn't care about the sport at all. He cares about one person, that's Will Wade. And I'm sick and tired of it, guys. And I've known this guy since he was first broke in. The craziest part of all this, I met him, his first, I think, full-time assistant job. You know where it was? At Harvard, of all places. Harvard. Imagine Tommy Amaker right now, the Harvard head coach, seeing what Will Wade has done throughout the course of his career. You know, this guy gets run out of college basketball for cheating, gets a second chance at McNeese State, gets another chance at the high major level at NC State. And obviously we know what he did. 1 year, and he said bye-bye. He goes back to LSU. He hires Rick Stansbury. I always use this line to kind of try to describe what I think of Rick Stansbury. Always when it's the smart money is always on Rick Stansbury in recruiting. Okay, so you can figure out what I think and what everybody thinks of Rick Stansbury. When Rick Stansbury used to walk into the gyms in AAU events, I was there. I started in recruiting. Coaches would literally walk out. They knew they had no chance when Rick Stansbury was going to walk in. So Stansbury has been out of the game for the last year and living, from what I'm told, basically overseas. And their superpower, Will Wade and Rick Stansbury's of years ago, a lot of coaches felt like was going to be gone. Like everybody's on an equal playing field right now. Everybody has money. Well, they have a new superpower now, which is going international and figuring this thing out. And they've done this mostly international. I mean, it's just like, enough, Will, enough. You're not good for college basketball. You're not good for it. I regret saying that I was happy that he had another opportunity to come back to college basketball, because the sport doesn't need this right now.
Strong words.
That's what I wanted from the SEC Confidential, but Jeff Goodman just put his name on it.
Put his name right on it.
He said the best part was he only cares about one guy, and that's Will Wade. And at the end, he was like, "Oh, you want some more? You want some more, old man?" hit him at the end with, "I regret being happy that he got another opportunity." Just bing, 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 bing. Gets he down for the count.
If anybody hasn't been paying attention, which I'm not going to blame anybody for not being totally in tune with LSU basketball roster moves, LSU has been irrelevant the last couple of years under Matt McMahon, and you probably know that they hired Will Wade, creating this axis of evil of sorts in Baton Rouge with Kim Mulkey and Lane Kiffin. But listen to the roster. This is what Jeff Goodman is talking about. So right now, this is what LSU's build has looked like this offseason. Bringing in Yam Madar, who is 25 years of age and was drafted in the 2020 NBA draft in the second round by the Celtics. Never played a minute in the NBA, played some preseason games, but went overseas. He is an Israeli basketball player, played in Turkey, played in Germany, is a Euro Cup champion, a good player in Europe, and is coming over to the States to play for LSU at the age of 25.
That's what I was about to ask. How old is this cat?
25-year-old point guard acquired by LSU. Okay.
How much eligibility does he have? Could he play the full 4 years if he wanted to?
He's never played college basketball.
Yes, so this guy could be almost 30.
He'll be 29 years old.
He's a senior.
He will turn 20. He will be 26 in December before SEC play starts. This guy is going to be playing his first SEC game as a true freshman at the age of 26.
If I'm Nate Oates, dude, I'm like, y'all caused all this stink about Bediako. Y'all wanted to call us cheaters over Bediako. Look at this dude. Every guy on his roster is Bediako.
Oh, it's not stopping there either. I mean, we're talking about
keep going then.
RJ Lewis. And now Madar is the oldest one of the bunch. There's no other 25-year-olds. But RJ Lewis is 23 years old, straight out of the G League.
And he has played. He has like Boston Celtics preseason tape.
Bryce Desert. Dessert. Dessert.
He's going to have his cake and eat it too on this team.
23 years old, straight out of EuroLeague. Marcio Santos, 23 years old, straight out of EuroLeague. And then you got a couple others, Modi Ubate out of Kentucky, who's 22, Austin Nunez out of UTSA, who's 23. So, some of these are just guys that have been around and are exhausting every ounce of eligibility. But Will Wade is taking up all that outrage for Baylor basketball, who was really the first to do this last year, which it was funny to see Scott Drew, kind of this good guy of college basketball, be the one to do this. And then Nate Oates, who is famously a villain of college basketball, try and do this with Charles Bediako out of the G League. Will Wade said, hold my beer. I'm going to go get every player out of Europe that I can. I'm going to gather every player that, if any program last year had one of these instances, it would have and did cause outrage across college basketball. Will Wade doesn't give a damn. So I struggle with this because Will Wade is not like a stand-up citizen of college basketball. Like, it's very clear. Will Wade does not care about the health of the sport. He does not care about what this could mean and where it could send the sport of college basketball. He's making a lot of money to play and win basketball games at LSU. And that's what his job is. So, Robert, I'm in a very tough, a state of mind here where it's like, I understand, you want to call Will Wade a bad guy, you're not going to get any pushback from me. But is this kind of a don't hate the player, hate the game situation? And we had that discussion with Nate Oates and with Scott Drew at Baylor. But my goodness, is this the most extreme example of it? And it was always going to happen, right? Somebody was always going to say, oh, yeah, screw it. I mean, what are we doing? If it's there, I'm going to take the opportunity. Is this a hate the player, don't hate the player, hate the game situation around Will Wade?
I believe so. Bibbidi Boppity in the F&M Bank chat says it best. This is an NCAA problem, not a Will Wade problem. But also he puts in parentheses, despite agreeing that he is a slime ball.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You can have that. It's not to say, oh, Will Wade doesn't deserve any criticism. Will Wade's fine. But there's going to be slime balls. Like it's sports. It's, for all intents and purposes, professional sports at this point. There are going to be slime balls. So when the system is there to be taken advantage of, the slime balls of the world are going to take advantage of the system. And so how can we sit back and just ball our fists up and be mad at the slime balls for being slime balls when the opportunity to be a slime ball is presented to them?
It's like the old Aesop's Fable story about like the what was it, the scorpion and the frog or something like that, or something like that, where the scorpion's like, why are you mad at me? Like, no, I'm not going to sting you, but then the scorpion inevitably stings him. It's like, oh, what are you mad at me? I'm just doing what's in my nature. Like a scorpion is going to do what a scorpion does. A snake is going to do what a snake does.
Exactly. Oh, look at you pulling out Aesop.
Dude, what?
I mean, I used
to every day, baby. We're learning something new about you.
I was going to have some metaphor about like a serial bank robber having like gift wrapped packages of money and us being mad at them for still stealing the money. But what you did is way better.
Nah, we do it together.
615-737-1045. So is Will Wade also the most hated figure in college basketball at this point? Is there
how much do people hate Kim Mulkey? Like, would Kim be... I don't think so. I mean, we hate her because she's flamboyant and bolsterous, but like not from like a real hate. Like Will Wade, I feel like people have real hate.
I mean, Kim Mulkey does seem to be a toxic person.
What's the UConn head coach? Danny Hurley?
Oh, Gino.
Like a Gino.
Yeah.
Like you throwing in. I feel like nobody hates. God, I can't think of anybody's name right now. Italian. Got shoved out.
Pitino.
Yeah, nobody really hates Pitino anymore.
I kind of love Rick Pitino.
I do too.
Yeah.
It's like, we're happy you're doing that. We're happy you're here. I wonder if Jeff Goodman is happy that he got another opportunity to be in college basketball.
We should get Jeff Goodman on the show. Like, who else you got, Jeff?
Who's he work for?
He. I know he does stuff for the Field of 68, which is a college basketball outlet. At Goodman Hoops is where you can find him. His Twitter bio says basketball analysts, but he's the co-founder of Field of 68, which is one of the better, I think, online basketball media outlets out there and websites. But those are some strong words. D Squared on the F&M Bank chat says people have certainly hated Calipari. I'm in a place with both Cal and Pitino that I kind of put in this same bucket where I love listening to those guys talk. I love listening to them after press conferences because they are at a spot where they have done everything. They've won everything. They've been to Final Fours. They've won national championships. They've done it at the biggest programs in college basketball. And so nothing really phases them. And they don't speak or operate with that sort of paranoia and guarded nature that so many people do in that business, right? They'll just say whatever. They don't care. There's no pressure on those guys, really. Like, yeah, Cal would rather win in the round of 32 of the NCAA tournament to go to the Sweet 16. He's not going to get fired if they don't. So I love the sort of blasé, like lean back in the chair, legs kicked up attitude that you hear from those guys. I have come to enjoy John Calipari and Rick Pitino and like weirdly be glad that they are in college basketball. But Will Wade is just a slime ball doing slime ball things in an ecosystem that has given him every opportunity to do that.
You've just given, where it was like they want to play buckyball. He plays slime ball.
Boom.
That's what Will Wade plays. That's his style of play.
See what happens when Buck is not here?
Yeah, we have fun.
Your wings sprout?
Yeah, we have some good shows. In the break, I'm going to be flying around the studio back here.
So they're playing slime ball down at LSU this season. I'd love to know where people stand on this. 615-737-1045. Speaking of LSU, this, I feel, went under the radar. Ed Orgeron is back in the building. Ed Orgeron is on Lane Kiffin's coaching staff for LSU football. putting this out there yesterday in a tweet with a picture of Coach O and Lane Kiffin shaking hands inside of the football facility. LSU football tweeting, Ed Orgeron is returning to LSU and will serve as the special assistant to recruiting and defense for the Tigers. I saw a report that he is on a 1-year, $100,000 contract to just be Ed O, I guess. Back together again. Ed Orgeron is just there to be himself, whether that's in a living room for a recruit or a transfer portal prospect. I guess he can chip in on the defense. I feel like they just had to kind of give him a title on one side of the ball or the other. I don't know how much input he's really having on the game plan. I don't know how much input he had on the game plan when he was the head coach at LSU, to be quite honest with you. He's just there to be Ed O.
It just feels like the scapegoat. Be like, okay, you guys hate me, but don't you love this guy? Like, remember the SpongeBob episode, the talent show? They're doing it at the Krusty Krab, and Squidward would, like, stick his tentacle out, and everyone would go, boo. They'd put SpongeBob out, and everybody would be like, yay! This is what that feels like to me. Like, Coach O is the SpongeBob. Lane Kiffin is the Squidward. Like, I wonder how many times it'll be, like, post-practice, and Martin Luther Kiffin is like, I don't want to talk to him. Send Coach O over here. Let Coach O deal with it. Yeah, you know, the team looked good today, and everything good in the bayou, go Tigers, and they'll be done with it.
I mean, who's not happy to see that, though? You know?
I tell you, the Tiger is. Apparently, I can't remember if it was with Pardon My Take or Bussin' or who the hell Lane Kiffin did one with about bringing Coach O back. But they were like, you know, I feel like I don't have.
It was Pardon My Take.
I don't have as good of a relationship with that Tiger as Coach O does.
He's dapping up the Tiger.
He's like, even if he doesn't, he's like, Coach O would tell you, he's like, yeah, I know that Tiger. There's a good Tiger in there. We got a friend in that Tiger.
Now, you know, people may have forgotten this is a reunion, Lane Kiffin and Ed Orgeron. This is not some new budding relationship that Kiffin is just trying to bring in for pure vibes purposes. Well, maybe he is. But these guys go way back. Do you remember, I don't know if this has ever been in your purview. Have you ever heard the story of Ed Orgeron calling recruits, Tennessee recruits, or Tennessee freshmen, and telling them not to go to class when Lane Kiffin bolted Tennessee after that year to go to USC?
No.
Yes. I mean, this came out, a lot of oral histories of that year, of that night, have come out. I know Mark Nagy, who used to be in Knoxville media, he wrote the book Decade of Dysfunction, talking about that period of Tennessee athletics. He did a lot of those sort of oral histories where he talked to everybody in the building, fans, just their perspective of that night in 2009 when Lane Kiffin, or early 2010 rather, when Lane Kiffin bolted to go to USC. Ed Orgeron was on Kiffin's staff. He was on the Tennessee staff. And Coach O was sitting there calling up Tennessee recruits and mainly freshmen that had just arrived on campus as early enrollees, telling them, do not go to class. If you don't go to class.
That's not how he would say it.
You got to do it.
Don't go to class. If you got to go to class.
If you go to class, you can't come with us to USC.
Then you're not following us. I'm turning him into Hulk Hogan. Like, what are you going to do, brother? When Coach O'Mania. I can't even get back to O. I can't even get back to Ed, man.
And then Ed Orgeron went with Kiffin to USC. So he has been on multiple Lane Kiffin staffs, both former Ole Miss head coaches as well. I mean, it all just makes too much sense. He was the assistant head coach, D-line and recruiting coordinator for Kiffin in 2009. He was Kiffin's defensive coordinator for a period at USC. He was the interim head coach at USC, of course, after Kiffin was fired on the tarmac. And now here he is. He is back at LSU. I don't know how we all did not say this is something that's going to happen the moment Lane Kiffin was hired at LSU. So, incredible stuff. Also incredible, Nashville hosting the Super Bowl. Maybe you missed that. Super Bowl 64, you probably haven't heard it by now. Happening in 2030 in Music City. Deanna Ivey of the Nashville Convention and Visitors Corporation is set to join us coming up next to talk about how we got to this point. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Plenty of folks ready to be indoctrinated to the greatness of Hattie B's as the NFL descends upon Nashville in February of 2030 for Super Bowl 64. Hattie B's is nationwide. What am I saying? We are very happy to be joined by Dina Ivey, the Chief Marketing Officer for the Nashville Convention and Visitors Corporation. You may know them as Visit Music City, a huge role played in bringing the biggest game in American sports to Music City. And I know yesterday was a big day, a celebration. The weather did not keep people away from Lower Broadway. And I imagine that the last week or two have been an absolute whirlwind, Dina, with the vote on Tuesday and flying back to Nashville. We appreciate you joining us amongst all the chaos.
Oh, thank you for having me. Yeah, not just the last couple of weeks, the last several months have been quite the ride, for sure.
I can only imagine. And we have heard so much from the NFL's perspective, and Roger Goodell has spoken on the city of Nashville, certainly from Burke Nihill and the Tennessee Titans, but not as much from the city of Nashville itself and the tourism industry in Nashville, which you obviously represent. Could you kind of take us through your role and your perspective in this situation, and how far back do we have to go for that?
Yeah, happy to. We can go back pretty far. We think about really laying the groundwork and the foundation to get to this point. There are a lot of things along the way, from the big events that we do every year to the draft that we hosted in 19, and starting that relationship with the NFL and proving that Nashville is a great city for these kind of things. And then over the last year, so the Convention Visitors Corporation is the lead on the big events and the bids and all those things. So we put the package together. We do the presentations and everything, like in this case to the NFL and then the NFL owners. We collect all of the hotel rooms that are required, the venues that are required, everything to get to the point where they even recommend and vote on us.
Dina Ivey, the CMO for Visit Music City, with us discussing the 2030 Super Bowl coming to Nashville on 104.5 The Zone. What is something about this process that maybe would surprise folks to know, and how it was handled from your perspective, maybe one of the challenges that people wouldn't consider in finally getting this done?
I think people would be surprised to know how much has to be done before you're even selected. So there's a lot of work. Of course, I always say the real work begins now to get ready for it, because there's so many details and logistics to work out. But a lot of work goes into just, getting to where we are right now. It's quite the process, but all these big events are. I mean, there's so much that you have to do to prove that you can host something like this. But it's been good to work with the NFL. They require a lot, but it's because it's one of the largest events in the world.
Dina Ivey with us on 104.5 The Zone. So to your point, that work that begins now with less than 4 years to go before the Super Bowl arrives on our doorstep, what does that look like from your perspective, from a logistical standpoint, a transportation standpoint? What role does Visit Music City play in just preparing the city of Nashville to take on the biggest event, arguably, in American culture?
Yeah, so we put together a host committee, and then there will be committees underneath that. So there'll be a committee for transportation, there'll be a committee for marketing, for communications, for community outreach, for working with the minority businesses for the NFL Business Source Program. But a lot of different committees, a lot of different volunteers involved. And then, of course, working through the details with the city and the city departments, everyone from NDOT to parks to the mayor's office. So a lot of details to work out.
Well, whenever this news comes around, one of the first conversation that pops up, Dina, is, of course, about the Super Bowl halftime show. What role do you guys play? I mean, if any, obviously that's something that the NFL, that Rock Nation, ultimately has had control over. But what does that look like for you guys in determining what the halftime show looks like in Nashville?
Well, I think they have a lot of choices here. I know they have a lot of choices here. And they like to do things that are authentic to the city. And I think they'll choose a lot of our talent because it is, they want to showcase Nashville. Hopefully we'll have a lot of influence over it.
Dina Ivey, the CEO of Visit Music City, with us on 104.5 The Zone. We had this discussion yesterday, Dina, on just the accomplishment that this is for Nashville and sort of the surreal nature of thinking back to, pick your year, 2002, 2010, 2012, on just how insurmountable something like this felt. And now here it is. It's official and it's happening. So where does the city of Nashville go from here? I understand the job now is to crush it, which is what everybody will expect. But where do you kind of turn in the sporting landscape after hosting the biggest sporting event in the United States?
Well, I think you're right. We want to crush it first, and then that proves to the rest of the world and all these other events that we are good hosts for big events and can, take on whatever else is out there. I mean, we'll be going for, and already have started going after the big ones, the Final Fours and the college football national championships, all those things that we'll put our name in and start working towards.
Now, you have been, not in this specific role for the entirety of your career in Music City, but you have taken the baton from Butch Spearden, of course, who is just a foundational piece of helping Nashville become the city that it is today. How could you speak to his impact on helping get this done over the grand scheme of things, despite the fact that obviously he hasn't been in this role for quite some time?
Yeah, I think you're right. I worked with Butch for 25 years, and he was instrumental in, laying the foundation for us, pushing not just our team, but the city of Nashville to think bigger and to push beyond our boundaries or punch above our weight, as we used to say, and taking risk and creating big events. And did that, recruited the draft here and did such a great job with it that proved again to the NFL that we can do things like this. So he deserves a lot of credit and appreciation for everything that he did.
Well, certainly you and your entire team do as well. Dina Ivey has been our guest, president and CEO for the Nashville Convention and Visitors Corporation, after an incredible achievement of bringing the Super Bowl to Music City. I mean, do you get a chance to take a breather and kind of, bask in the job being done before kind of the second phase, as you said, the real work begins?
Maybe this weekend.
There we go.
A little bit.
There we go. Maybe we see Dina Ivey around town this weekend. I love it. Dina, thanks so much for the time. Congratulations, I know, on what's been an incredible week, and we'll talk again soon, I'm sure.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Love you, Dina. I love you, Dina.
I think the whole city of Nashville does after what we saw yesterday. Dina Ivey has been our guest of Visit Music City. So at Visit Music City is where you can follow them on Twitter. And, there's a long list of things that Nashville can turn to next. She mentioned the Final Four. Obviously, one of the big hitters. We talked yesterday about the national championship game for the college football playoff. Who knows what the future of the SEC championship game looks like. That could be a different conversation entirely on if it'll even exist here in the next decade or so. But no, great stuff from Dina Ivey. And by the way, I think we may have Mayor Freddie O'Connell in studio at some point in the near future to talk about how the city is handling this from his perspective.
I've been meaning to ask him a question.
Oh, you've got some things for him?
Yeah, most people, when they get in prominent roles, they try to go away from their child name. I did that. I used to be Robbie, and now I'm Robert. Yes, a big philanthropist, Robert. He didn't do that. He didn't go to Fred. He stayed with Freddie. He stayed true to himself. I appreciate that. Interested to know why he never went to Fred. Is it the negative connotation from the Mystery Inc. squad? You're worried about just splitting off from the group, taking all of the duties? No, it's not the kind of guy Freddie is.
That's a good question. You do go by Robbie in certain circles.
My mom.
Cheyenne, I've heard Cheyenne call you Robbie.
Have you?
Yes.
She usually calls me, hey, dumbass, or hey, fatty, why don't you clean the kitchen up? Usually that's how I get called.
You go by Robbie on social media.
Unfortunately, because I can't buy the @Burt Twitter handle. People were tweeting at that guy. I sent him another DM, tried to email him.
Okay.
Nobody wants it.
Just no threats. Just no threats for the guy who has the Burt handle on Twitter.
You don't tell me how I go about my business.
@Robbie_Walsh is where you can follow Burt. So, great stuff from Dina Ivey. Obviously, an incredibly exciting week for the city of Nashville and its tourism industry. Coming up next, we'll wrap up the show. Last call for phone call, 615-737-1045, and we'll do the polls on the way out on 1045 The Zone. All right. Wrapping things up on a rainy Thursday. I think the rain has ceased a little bit in Music City.
Do you know that?
No, I don't. I can't see out this window at all.
Well, you could. Can't is a bad word.
Well, hang on now.
Because it's possible to. I don't want you spreading misinformation just because we don't. Oh, look at that.
The sun's poking through.
The sun will come out tomorrow. Tomorrow's come. It looks good outside.
We do have playoff action tonight. We didn't get to any of the action from yesterday. Golden Knights off to a 1-0 lead in the Western Conference Finals, holding off an Avs comeback bid to win 4-2. So they'll go into game 2 with a series lead. And then your Hurricanes, Robert, get going tonight. They are undefeated.
That's right.
In the postseason.
Yeah, baby.
Perfect. 0 losses. Nothing but sweeps for the Carolina Hurricanes. And Rod, as you called him, the bod, Brindamore.
I didn't make that up. Don't give me credit for that.
Is that a widespread thing over there?
Oh, yeah. Everybody Rod the bod.
Okay.
Hold on. Zach, sound the siren. Yes.
With vigor back there.
Yes.
All right, so Hurricanes dropping the puck against the Canadians at home, 7 p.m. tonight. As Americans, everybody should be rooting for the Carolina Hurricanes. The United States not only got the better of Canada in the Winter Olympics in the gold medal game, which Robert didn't watch, but that's besides the point.
I shut up.
Did you?
No, I didn't watch it.
Not only did the United States win that game, but USA star Jack Hughes even came back with Canada's biggest, brightest star, Tate McRae, on his arm. That is how far the U.S. victory extended in the Olympics. So we cannot let Canada turn right around and win its first Stanley Cup since the early 90s. It just can't happen. So a lot's riding on this for your Hurricanes, I feel like.
Who are the most loved Canadians? Who are the most widely accepted Canadians in America? Mike Myers.
Jim Carrey.
A
lot of comedians. Oh, I did, by the way, per your suggestion, watch the Martin Short doc.
Dude,
awesome.
So good,
So
man.
good.
So stinking good.
Yeah. Marty Short, another incredible Canadian comedian.
Shania Twain, who I would have never thought.
Yeah, she is famously Canadian. Ryan Reynolds is Canadian. Justin Bieber is Canadian.
Celine Dion.
Yeah, a lot of great Canadian talent. I mean, especially comedic talent.
Oh, Pamela Anderson. I loved her in Stacked. Did you ever watch that? It was like a one-off, one-season sitcom where she was a librarian.
I did watch the show that they did about Pam Anderson and Tommy Lee that I think that Seth Rogen starred in. I don't know if you saw that.
Most recently. Like it was the guy, he does great
Sebastian
stuff.
Stan played Tommy Lee. He was all of the actors in that show were awesome. It was a fun watch. It was kind of a mini series. It was really good. But yeah, Martin Short documentary, highly recommend. I mean, just to be like hanging out with Tom Hanks at your lake house every other weekend, like it's just, the families getting together. It was awesome. It was cool.
Oh, I don't even know how the hell you would say this guy's name.
Terrence and Phillip. Somebody said.
Yeah, that's. I don't know what anybody's talking about here, guys. Anyway.
I do think this show is as close to Terrence and Phillip as we have on the station.
Yeah, just fart noises and bonks. That's it. Yeah, hell yeah.
The chat says Joseph Bonanno, also Canadian.
Yes, we salute our Canadian bacon brother.
Yes. So, Hurricanes and Canadians tonight. Meanwhile, the New York Knicks go again after that insane comeback win. They host the Cavs in Game 2 tonight at 7. Knicks 5.5-point favorites, and if they take a 2-0 series lead at home, I know the series is shifting back to Cleveland, but I'm going ahead and tapping out the Cavs. Maybe I'm foolish to do that. I'm not going to pretend like I've been in tune from day one of the NBA regular season, but to me, if the Knicks get in control tonight after the emotion of that Game 1 win, then that is momentum that just will not be stopped. Last night, the Thunder got even, 122-113. SGA, with an MVP-like performance, he had 30 and 9 assists, and Oklahoma City tied that up at 1 apiece. So that'll head back to San Antonio for Game 3 on Friday. I mean, in the NBA playoffs, who do you feel like, is there a collision course in particular you feel like we're on right now between any two teams? Or does it feel pretty wide open to you?
It doesn't feel wide open, and this is probably the lazy way to put it, but I feel like whoever wins the West is who wins the whole shebang. Like, whether it's the Knicks or the Cavs that end up coming out of it. But, like, I would rather see them play the Knicks. I think that would be a better game, but unfortunately, I think the Spurs or the Thunder house them. in a 4-game series. Like, it's probably, if I had to guess who comes out of the West, I would say the Thunder. But, I mean, either one of those guys, I think it's done in 5 games.
Yeah. Conference finals, I feel like have, early. I mean, we've played 2 games total. So early on, 3 games. 3 games is right. But I do feel like the conference finals have salvaged this postseason a little bit. That just, there haven't been back-to-back competitive games, I feel like, in this postseason. Whether that's back-to-back games in a series or in 2 different series. I feel like these conference finals are absolutely delivering. So we'll see if it all just ends up with the Thunder lifting the Larry O'Brien Trophy once again. So that's happening tonight.
I'm off the show tomorrow. Do you guys have anything planned? You got anything planned for the week? Anything I need to know before I leave for good?
Where are you going?
I've got a wedding in Pennsylvania.
Where in PA?
Harrisonburg?
It's the capital of Pennsylvania.
Oh, well, good for them.
I know my capitals.
I will
Not
be,
as well as Zach back there, but I know some of them.
He knows presidents. Do you know presidents and capitals? Yeah, you don't even know the guy. Dude, you're
I'm
over
sorry,
there
I'm
talking about
sorry.
like you know him. He knows presidents.
I thought it was capitals.
Really quickly, Zach, who was the 24th president of the United States?
Grover Cleveland. He was also 22.
Okay.
That's amazing. We should go tit for tat on.
Okay, speaking of that, tit for Taft. What president was Taft?
27.
The confidence, man. Like, not even like searching the brain. No, 27. We should go tit for tat on World Cup history.
No, probably not.
No.
This is way cool.
I'm saying you throw me a World Cup question, and then you throw him a presidential question, and we just see who gets one wrong first.
Okay. You go first, though. You cool with that?
Sure.
What was the worst World Cup?
Oh, the worst World Cup? No, that's an impossible. They're all incredible.
Okay, lame answer. Zach, who was the
worst president? If we're going tit for tat.
Hold on, you had your chance to answer. It's Zach's turn. Zach, who was the 39th president of the United States?
Jimmy Carter.
Listen to that. Peanut farmer to the White House,
I can't compete with that.
They just need the common man. That's what we needed. That's what we needed today. We need to get rid of the uncommon man, which is Buck Rising, and get some alone time for me and you.
And I will be leaving the show early tomorrow as well to go catch up with BJ Callahan before Nashville closes out this phase, last game before the World Cup break. By the way, Robert, your United States of America got some pretty bad news today with Chris Richards, the best defender on this team, going down, tearing multiple ligaments in his ankle.
No!
So his status in extreme doubt for this summer. That is actually a crushing blow.
So what are they going to do?
For the U.S.? Oh, I don't know. Do you call up a player that may or may not be available? But if he is, then you get to use him, but he won't be 100%?
Why wouldn't he be available?
Because he just tore 2 ligaments in his ankle.
No, I mean the guy they're calling up.
That's what I'm posing.
Okay.
Do you call up a player that just went down and could be available?
No.
For you at some point?
Let him heal.
He is by far your best defender. He's one of the leaders of this team.
He gave his body for his country. Let him heal on his own accord.
Walker Zimmerman says Marciano. He's up in Toronto right now. Bill Dance says the worst World Cup, easily the last one in Qatar. I mean, the circumstances around it were awful, the human rights situation, but unfortunately, the soccer was phenomenal.
I didn't ask for opinions. I asked for facts. What's the worst World Cup?
All right, I had the first one because there were only 4 teams, I would say.
Okay, that's kind of like saying the worst
Uruguay.
UFC event was the first UFC. Are you familiar with how UFC started?
No, just a couple guys in the backyard.
Well, no, it was in the octagon, but what they did is they pulled a fighter from each individual fighting style. So they would have boxers, they had sumo wrestlers, and there was no weight classes. It was just they took all of the best fighters they could find from each fighting discipline and put them together. And naturally, the guys who were actually hand to hand, like they had like taekwondo in there. And they were just getting their ass whooped.
Just a smorgasbord.
Dude, sumo guys. The worst UFC was the first one.
Oh, man. If we had done the polls, they would have been presented by Two Rivers Ford. We'll see if we get to them tomorrow. Doubtful with Buck back in control of the polls. By the way, some quick NFL news on the way out. Lions and star linebacker Jack Campbell have agreed to terms on a 4-year deal. So we don't have the money on it, but there's a big second contract for the former first-round draft pick. That'll do it for us. Appreciate you guys hanging out. Cover 2 with Blaine and Zach coming up next.